What up? What up? What's going on? Brother Legend, live up in the building. As always, want to have a discussion today. Welcome to everybody on YouTube. Thanks for joining us. Today we're talking about a few things. Going to get some things off our chest. All the brothers and sisters in here, please tap like. Let's get to 2K likes. I'm gonna try to bring the AJ with the popcorn as always. Get your popcorn out. We're talking about some things today. Hey, let me know if you can see the top bullet point. Let me know if you can see the top bullet point. What's going on, Christian? Let me know if y'all can see the top bullet point. I got coconut oil on my skin. Okay, cool. All right, thank you. So yeah, welcome to the live, a safe place for all Africans and Pan-Africans, lovers of the ancestors. You know what I'm saying? Whether you're in America, no matter what language you speak, I hope there's a translator. There's like a translator feature on some of these lives where you can like translate what's going on. But my name is Brother Legend. I'm from the American African tribe. I do these lives where I encourage us to think more critically about certain social constructs, particularly race, decolonizing our thought patterns, re-Africanizing our culture, identity, and how we see ourselves. It's very important to me. But also understanding where the identities that were given to us come from, what the race social construct was meant to do, who it was meant to subjugate, who it was meant to empower, and what's been built off of it. In doing that, critical thinking, analytical thinking, and research, we find that certain things are misnomers, and I just want to encourage y'all to maybe think about some things. I've whenever people come up here, I ask them 3 questions. Give us your age, your race, and your pronouns. I usually go by the name on your username on TikTok, but your age, your race, and your pronouns. Reason I ask the age is because TikTok says you got to be over 18 to be up here. The reason I ask your race is because a lot of times my discussions are race related, and context matters when we're talking about race. If somebody comes up here and they're a brother or a sister and they say, I think we should go back to Africa, then I can say, you know what? I understand. I agree with that. However, if they're a thin lipped snow person and they say, I think you should go back to Africa, hits completely different. And that's why context matters. So we ask kindly what your race is when we're discussing race, but everyone is welcome to come up here and join the discussion. And then when I ask your pronouns so that I can respectfully address you and we don't have to go back and forth and, improperly address you and dilute the conversation or distract from the conversation. So that's the reason I do that. I understand I'm not the only one on this platform, and I want to be more mindful of how we talk. But I do recognize that where my ancestors are from, where my people are from, there are no pronouns. There's no such things. There's no pronouns. So that's another thing. But anyway, today we're talking about the biracial needs people. Keep tapping like, y'all. Tap like. When we get to 2K likes, I'm going to bring people up. I see people who have already requested. Hang with us and keep tapping like. But today we're talking about biracial people that identify as biracial. one thing I noticed when I asked the age, race, and pronouns, we get to race, and some people like to say, I'm biracial. And as harmless as that may seem, that is a misnomer. Biracial is not a race of its own. There are no biracial people. That is something that is heavy to unpack for a lot of people. And that's because they've been told or telling themselves their whole life that they are two things in one body. That's kind of crazy. You're not two things in one body. Race is a social construct in the first place. And there is no half of you that is oppressed and the other half of you benefiting from that oppression. I'll say it again. There is no half of you that is oppressed and the other half of you is benefiting from that oppression. That's not how that works. Um, if you, and I'll put it like, I'll let someone come up and talk about it, but biracial is not a race, an ethnicity, nationality, or culture. There's no biracial land. No such thing as biracial food. No such thing as biracial dance, prayers, or other cultural markers. Phenotype is also not the only identifying determining factor rather, in how you identify racial wise. Your phenotype is part of how you're oppressed. As a marginalized group, we are also profiled and discriminated against based on our phenotype, how we present. But it is not the only thing that determines if you're black. So that's one thing that a lot of brothers and sisters don't even understand. We can get into that a little bit later. Someone said biracial stand. I'm laughing. Could y'all please? Y'all need to stop bringing the Middle East, what's going on in the Middle East, into my comments. That's really annoying. We ain't talking nothing about West Asia right now. So could y'all stop that, please? Anyway, in the black community, biracial black and white people are treated as black until they show anti-blackness. That's another thing. A lot of people say I'm too black for the white kids, too white for the black kids. And it's like, nah, there's no such thing as too white for the black kids because black kids love Eminem. Black kids, well, at least when I was young, they used to listen to Eminem. There are white people that get passes in our community, which I still would give a side eye for. But um, there are people like Ed Sheeran that black people will listen to. Other people that we let into our spaces. There's no such thing as too white for the black kids. The thing is that I'm sorry, my thing messed up. But some biracial brothers and sisters have internalized self hatred that other black people notice, and that's when you become too white for the black people. It's because they see you as a threat to their safety, and that's with merit. So we can talk about all of this and more. I'm going to bring some people up now so we can have a conversation. Care Bear, what's going on?
Not much. What's going on with you?
Um, I'm having a pretty chill night. Um, had some vegan sandwiches earlier, so that was interesting. Yeah,
Well, that was good.
yeah.
So, I
Could
just
you give
got,
us your real
I'm
quick? Could
sorry,
you
go
give us
ahead,
your
bud.
age, race, and pronouns?
I'm 40-ish and I am white and I go by she and her.
Okay, and go ahead.
So, I just was on a previous debate about interracial relationships, but somehow when I got on the debate, it was not about that topic. Everyone was arguing about um, race, and they were saying that when I got up there, they were like, "Are you Caucasian?" And I said, "Yes, but I'm 25% Cherokee," which means basically if I went to a Cherokee tribe in wherever, they wouldn't accept me because I'm not Cherokee enough. I mean, if you're not 50% Cherokee, you're nothing. So I would get turned away by the Cherokee tribe. But they said, "So you're Caucasian, so are you proud to be German?" And I said, "No, I'm not German." And someone mentioned that all white people have German in them. And I was taken aback by that. And I was just, I didn't understand that. Because first of all, it was off topic, and then second of all, the host was making everyone raise their hands and take turns like we were in class or something. Like it was just like no one can have a conversation. It was basically a bunch of people arguing, but then after they argued with everyone like a child, they would be like, "But we're adults, we can agree to disagree, let's handle this like adults." So it was just, I got off of it. And I wasn't about to be called proud to be German. And to be honest, I'm proud to be me, but I am not proud to be white. um just because of the history of, and I mean, I'm sorry if quote my people get mad at me for saying that, but I mean, it's just, if you look at the facts, there are a lot of things that white people have just, not only with African Americans, Native Americans, everything, they have just stepped in and stolen and treated wrongly and just done things that I'm not proud to be called that. But yeah, like I said, I am not one of those people. So I do not consider myself one of those people, but I can't look at myself in the mirror every day and say I hate myself because I'm white. Um, but uh, I do understand where everybody's coming from. I'm not going to lie. When the BLK thing came out, I was actually one of those people that said all lives matter because I was ignorant. I was ignorant. I was really ignorant until one of my friends took me aside and they were like, "Carrie, that's not what it means." And they had to explain it to me. And when they did, I was like, "Oh my God, I'm a freaking ass." I'm sorry, I don't know if I can cuss on here. I was just like, I'm so sorry I said that. I feel stupid and I want to share this with other people. But, it's just, I, what I'm saying is, as far as biracial goes, like when you're saying, like, I remember like being in high school, like I had a friend whose mom was white and whose dad was black, but his black guy friends they rejected him because of that, and I felt real bad for him.
What did
And
they
he was
reject them
bullied
for?
because his mom was white and his dad was black.
That's not why they rejected him. You saying black people
Why?
rejected him because his mom was white?
That's what they literally told him.
Nah, that's not why.
I I literally heard at least one guy say that to him.
Yeah, but
Why?
that's not why.
Wh- Okay, can you tell me why?
Because of 400 years of slavery, incarceration, and the things that you said you're not proud of, black people do have an intelligence to not feel safe around people that um, have a proximity to those that have done them so much harm over the centuries. Um, it's not just because their mother has white skin that they feel unsafe or defensive around people that even consider themselves part of our group. Um, there's actually context to that feeling. uh, if you look
But
no
the
further
only
than
content,
look, hold on, look no further than me speaking to you in English. Do you think I'm speaking English because my ancestors sat in a classroom and decided to come to America with a resume in their hand and learn English, or do you think I'm speaking this tongue because it was passed down to me from an ancestor that was put up on a whipping post and forced to learn English? The latter is more likely and just real, to be honest. My last name is in English. I'm not from England. Neither are my ancestors, but um, there's no reason for the descendants of Europeans to feel that way about black people. That we haven't enslaved anyone from Europe and forced them to work out in the hot sun in Africa to work on our plantations. I mean, they probably couldn't even survive the sun, to be honest. So we have no reason to even try to do that. But there's no European country named after an African ruler where there are Europeans who have the last name Wigwe or some Yoruban last name, speaking an African language. So we've never done anything for Europe to feel that way about us, but they have done things to us to make us feel that way about them. And sometimes I think that those of the privileged class, when they hear us have these defense mechanisms, they project onto us the way that they feel about us, and they think that we're doing the same thing back to them when we have a lot more context than they have.
I don't disagree with that. I think you guys have a lot more contents on that. But back to what I was saying, when you said you disagree, that's not why they don't like him because he
Up,
has a white
up.
mom.
Then you're
Then
dismissing what I just said because you just try to make what I said like a different topic, and I just basically debunked everything you just said about them not liking them because his mom was white. No, it's not because his mom was looked different that they did not like that black person. Read the last bullet point. It says in the black community, biracial black and white people are treated as black until they show anti-blackness. It doesn't say they're treated as black until we find out their mom is white and then we just don't like them for no reason other than the fact that they have a white mom. That's not something that
but
happens in our community. What you're trying to do is make prejudice equal between black people and white people, and
no,
that's
darling, I'm not trying to do that at all. I'm not trying to do that at all. I've just been told by my
and you're being
friend that
told
that's
right now by a black man that has done the research in racism. Another thing that Thin Lipians do is when they come up here, they think I'm like stupid. I think they see my locks and they think like Lil Wayne or something. I don't know, but I'm actually well educated on this topic, and I can tell you right now, no black person just doesn't like a white person because they're white.
I,
Um,
I never said that, and I didn't, those words never came out of my mouth.
it was very
I was,
dismissive what you said.
no,
Back to what I was
no,
saying
no,
though.
no, I was,
Back to what I was saying. Like when you do that, that's dismissive of what I just said. I just addressed everything you said, and then you
okay, and
dismissed
that's
it.
from your opinion, but that's not what my
It's not my
friend was
opinion, and that's
saying.
why that's the problem is you think I'm not educated, so you think what I'm
I,
speaking from is
that,
my opinion,
see,
and I'm
you're
telling you my
thinking that
opinion
why would you think that I think you're not educated? Why would
because
you
you're
think
saying
that?
I'm speaking from my opinion, and I'm not.
Just
I'm
because
speaking from
you have
research.
your opinion doesn't mean
That wasn't an
another.
opinion. See, you're doing it again. Just because you haven't read enough books on racism to be able to unpack it yourself, and you're speaking from your opinion, doesn't mean I'm speaking from my opinion.
This
I'm
is not
telling
my
you.
opinion. This is from my friend who has a white mom and a black dad who
And see,
told
once
me.
again, you're being dismissive again.
N- I don't see it that way, and I'm not trying to say you're uneducated or anything to that
When
extent. I
you
came
when you
here to.
minimalize all of the context that I just gave you to my opinion, it's called anti-intellectualism. You're not playing fair with me right now. You're not having a serious dialogue. You're trying to manipulate the conversation.
Uh, no, I promise you, darling,
You
I'm
are.
not
No,
a
you are.
I'm not
You
a
are.
manip.
You are.
I'm
You
not.
definitely
I
are.
know that
You've tried to do
facts
it
of.
like 5 or 6 times since we've been
Okay,
talking. I'm
can
watching you do it.
can we talk to each other as like brothers and sisters right now? Because we're
No.
all brothers
No,
and
we will
sisters of.
never talk to each other that way. Don't ever call me your brother. I'm not your brother. I am a man on TikTok that's teaching
Well,
you
then
about
I'm
racism.
talking about brothers and sisters of God, and it's sad
And
that
what God do you serve?
I serve a loving God
You serve a
that doesn't.
loving God. What religion would that loving God be? Buddhism?
It's not a religion I care to share with you because everything that I say you seem to strike down as whatever I'm saying is wrong.
What book did your God come from? Are you Muslim?
No, and I'm not comfortable. Like you've. I mean, I'm
My
not comfortable.
God and your God are not the same God. I guarantee you that.
Okay, well, I don't know who your God is, and who. So
Hmm.
who's your God?
My God is the God of my ancestors.
Okay. Well, I'm not saying that you are wrong by any means of that. I'm not trying to sit here and
Okay.
saying that opinions that, that's a bad thing. I mean, everybody has opinions. I'm not trying to manipulate the
No, no. See,
conversation.
see how you keep going back to opinions.
No, that's what
Sometimes
I
you
just.
just don't know what the hell you're talking about, and I'm telling you what I'm regurgitating to you things you don't know, things you don't understand, and I'm trying to frame it in a way that you can understand it,
Okay,
but you keep going
I'm
back
not stupid.
to
I'm
that's
educated
your
as
opinion.
well. I'm not stupid either. I'm
No, but
educated as well.
you don't know what you're talking about when you talk about a biracial person was disliked by black people because they had a white mom. That's not true. And I just gave you all of the context. You could have just said, "Okay, I see that now." But instead, you're still trying to prove to me that this person was disliked because they had a white mother.
Okay, so if
It's
I don't
weird.
agree with you, then I'm wrong, right?
What don't you agree with?
No, I'm saying you're the type of
Hmm.
person, if
No,
I
no,
don't
no. Don't
agree
talk
with
about me
you, then I
personally.
am
Tell
wrong.
me what you don't tell me what you disagree with and qualify it with facts, please.
I've already repeated it twice, and when I
No, no.
repeated
Tell
it,
all
you've
right.
already
So
shut
what
me
is your
down.
proof that all of the context of 400 years of oppression had no bearing on their opinion of that person's proximity to a white mother? And tell me how, or tell me in what way you can prove that just by her being white, black people didn't like his mother. Please.
You just said it from 400 years of proximity that
So that's
it's
not the same
there.
thing. It was the 400 years, not her being white. It was the rest of all the context by which whiteness has been forced on us. That is what they didn't like because that biracial person
Exactly. And
showed
that
anti
comes
blackness. So then stop
exactly.
saying they didn't like her because she was white. They didn't like him because he did not uh, display self love. He showed anti blackness.
Wow.
I
Okay.
know. It takes a lot. I know.
No, no, it doesn't take a
It
lot.
does.
It's
It
just
does. It does. It takes
no.
a lot for y'all. It
No,
does.
it doesn't take a lot for y'all. Don't call me y'all like I'm a type of like I mean, I feel sorry that you can't like take other people's like
Don't feel
concepts and
sorry.
opinions.
Please.
Oh, yeah, wah, wah, wah. I'm so
Yeah, that's how you sound.
uneducated. Yeah, I don't care what I sound like to you, honestly, because to me you're uneducated. Have a great life.
I think she's going to call the manager, guys. I think she's calling the manager right now as we speak. Y'all could have got her down up out of here. You know that, right? Y'all could have been got her down up out of here. The Panther paws are right here. Y'all know the rules. Y'all was just having fun with that. Y'all need to stop. Y'all need to stop. When people don't know what the hell they talking about, I'm going to tell them they don't know what they talking about. Somebody come up here and they're spitting facts, then we can talk about that. But understand that on this live, I don't speak from my opinion. I only speak from books, and boy, do I love to give y'all books to read. Tap like, tap like, tap like.
100%, man. We don't go off our own opinions here. This is when he's talking about people being white adjacent, black people are moving away from white adjacent. If you want to be white adjacent, you cannot come where we going. It don't matter. It don't matter how you try to involve your life. If you in a mixed race situation and if you have two different types of parents, you are born into a situation which America has created. It's detrimental to your mental health. You need to get right because you can't. Being white adjacent is just adjacent. You're trying to become something you can never enter. They won't let you. It's just the reality of life. If they would let people in and share the wealth, they don't do that though. They do the opposite. They shun you, they excommunicate you, all this other type of stuff. We don't say these things because we have hate in our heart or because we're ignorant. It's nothing like that.
They project.
It's just about if you're being white adjacent, we're moving away from that. We
Yo,
want to be Afrocentric. We want to come from where we actually came from, not what we're being taught. It's
yeah.
a difference.
She was squirming the whole conversation, man.
Yeah.
Like, she tried to pull the brother sister. She tried to call on God. Yo, that was crazy now that I'm thinking.
Reaching for nothing.
She said, "Our God."
Home.
Yeah, I don't know. That's crazy. We ain't doing that. Appreciate you coming up, brother Shad. Thank you for sharing that.
Hi.
Hello. I don't see a name for you. Could I have your name, age, race, and pronouns, please?
My name is Carmen. I'm 18 and I am Native American and white.
I think you know why we looking at you weird. So the whole thing about this topic is you can't be two races at the same time. And we're talking about that because a lot of people have a misconception about race and how it exists as a construct. You can't be mixed in white. That's not how whiteness works. Are you a person of color?
I am.
Okay, so as a person of color, um, do people of color, right? When I say POC, do I mean white people?
I would say no.
That's true. No is the correct answer. Not just because you would say it, that's just true. So, people of color is everyone that's not white. So, what are white people?
White.
People without color.
So I definitely agree with what you're saying, and I definitely agree with your second bullet point, but I feel like
Real quick, I
say
wasn't done talking.
oh, I'm sorry, go
So,
ahead.
white people are people without color, right? So, white is people without color. Everybody else is a person of color. So, then how are you half with color and half without color? How are you without any other color, but also you got a color?
So that's saying like somebody with one parent that is a person of color and someone having a parent that is not a person of color, that's like saying that they're only that part without color. Does that make sense? Like that's
No,
kind
they're
of
they're they're only that part in the racial construct. Now, don't get race and culture confused. Don't get race and culture confused.
No, there's definitely a difference.
No, okay. I'm glad you know that
Yes.
because it doesn't say you can't be multicultural. You can always be multicultural. It's just the construct of race identifies you as one race, one person. You are one person, you represent one race. There's a thing called hypodescent that the creators of this construct came up with so that they could keep themselves pure. That's why the term people of color is very harmful, and to be honest, racist, because it centers our identity around our proximity or lack thereof of whiteness. So if you're white, you're a person without color, and having color makes you impure. It makes you non-white. So that's the problem with that. But the thing is, you can't have no color and a color. As soon as you have a color, you are that color. That's how race is set up.
Okay. So, yes, I agree with that.
So you're Native American.
Yes, I
If
am.
Yeah, so there you go. All right, cool.
So, my mom, I only say that she is white because I don't know exactly what like ethnicity she is. I don't know where she like her ancestors came from. You know what I'm saying? But I know on my father's side they are Native American, so like fully. Um, so I wouldn't necessarily like when people ask me like what are you? Normally I just say I'm white because I don't really feel like explaining it. You know what I'm saying? I shouldn't have to really explain myself
And why do you say you're white?
because of the color of my skin. A lot of people think that like if you don't have if
The
you don't
color
have
of your
super dark
skin.
skin.
Read the second point. Phenotype is not the only factor in determining racial identity. So that means that how you look alone is not enough to make you white. You also would have to have, well, you having ancestry from anywhere but Europe would make you that other thing. So that's the thing. Why don't you answer that question and say I'm native? Why do you tell people you're white? It does not matter how other people identify you. It's how you identify yourself that people will go by.
Yes. And like when you were talking about how well, I don't know if you really said it, but basically how I interpret it was like the society's viewpoint. Um, so say you see somebody that is a person of color and you just say, "Oh, you're African American." But that's not just because they are that race doesn't mean that they are automatically that ethnicity. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like if you see
African
somebody,
American is an ethnicity.
no, I'm saying like you
Yeah.
shouldn't like that is an ethnicity. Yes, I agree. I'm saying like you shouldn't like in society's viewpoint, they only look at you from your race and then just assume that you're this ethnicity and that you act this different type of way or you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Stereotypes. So, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I understand that, but it doesn't matter what they think. What matters is what you know about yourself. Knowledge of self is important. Don't let other people tell you what you are based on how you look.
If I may,
Yes.
Yeah.
I think the reason you gotta really look at what you just said as an example as to why you don't say you're Native American, I don't think it has anything to do with you personally. I think you were taught to kind of socially reject that side of you because you have an easier time just telling people, and people have an easier time understanding that you're just a white woman. I think you were taught that, and you subconsciously, not nothing you did on purpose to like reject your father's side of your family, but you live in a country where white people have a certain type of privilege and a certain type of life that makes it easier to just identify as that. I don't think it's nothing you did on purpose because it sounds like you were kind of interested in your dad's side of the family. It don't seem like you rejected them uh like some other biracial people would.
Culturally. Yeah.
But
She didn't. Yeah.
I just think that you have to really look at what you said and kind of deep that, because you know why you identify as white. You said it yourself, but you got to understand that of course you aren't doing that on purpose. I don't think. But yeah, that's kind of what I kind of noticed.
And also, like, growing up in like more of a white dominant household, because I didn't live with my father, I feel like it would kind of, if I say like, oh, I'm just Native American, but I didn't grow up around that culture, I didn't grow up around the traditions, you know what I'm saying? Like, how am I going to say that I'm, I mean, like, I
Do they
understand.
treat you the same way they treat white people?
I would say to a certain degree.
All
And
right,
like
so
the
then
lady,
that means the answer is no. And so, with that being the case, um, I would say just own it. You know what I'm saying? Because if you were actually white, if you had white privilege, you wouldn't even be thinking about what race you are. You wouldn't care. I like the if you pay attention to my show long enough, you're gonna see people come up here. They're not even gonna know what race they are, and they're gonna be white, but they're gonna be like, I don't even think about race. Like they don't have to think about it. That's privilege. If you have to, identify yourself one way or the other because it's just easier because you don't want to have to explain, that means you're not white.
I agree. I can't really disagree with you, except for I kind of disagree on the first bulletin point, only because I feel like anybody can be discriminated because of their race, and people definitely, I feel like in the Black community and the white community both, people that are mixed, they do receive like backlash from those communities. You know what I'm saying? Like you were saying, like some people feel as if they're too dark for, the darker kids, or some kids feel like they're too white for the darker kids. Does that make sense? Like
But did you
people,
How
read?
how they feel and what is true is not the same thing. The first bullet point says biracial is not a race, and we already debunked that. It's not an ethnicity because there's no such thing as a biracial like
oh yeah, it's definitely
ethnicity.
not an ethnicity.
There's no nationality, so there's no nation of biracial people, and it's not a culture, which would also be part of what makes it an ethnicity. It's a description of who your parents are and where they come from. So when you come up here and you say you're native and white, you're not talking about you. You're talking about your parents.
Yes.
And so that's what that first bullet point is.
Okay. Okay. So what is your definition of biracial? Because I know that might sound dumb, but a lot of people do interpret things differently. You know what I'm saying? So I would like to hear your like definition of like biracial.
It's a description of someone who has parents from two different races.
Okay. So say like you have a mom that's like German, and you have a dad that
German's not a
is,
race.
I'm sorry. You have a dad that is his ethnicity is German, and you have a mom that's ethnicity is like something completely different.
Ethnicity is not race.
No, like I'm saying like their
Oh, just
ethnicity.
two
I'm not talking about
ethnicities?
race. Yeah, I'm not
Okay.
talking about race.
Okay. All right.
So like are they still entitled to both? Like are they entitled to both cultures and traditions, or are they only limited to that one?
They're entitled to both traditions. It is good that you said German in that example. If you had said one part of them has a white culture and the other side of them has even like a Latin culture, I would tell you that Latin is a ethnicity. However, um, white is not a culture. White is a justification for stealing culture, a justification for subjugation. So that's what white is. White in itself is not a culture, but German, that's a culture. Italian, that's a culture. Because there are black Germans, there are black Italian people, there are white, there's Asian, there's all different kinds of people that make up a culture. but race is a social construct that was used to justify slavery and colonization.
I agree with that too.
All right. Well, thanks for coming up.
You're welcome.
Carmen,
Thank
was
you.
it?
Yes, thank you for being
All right.
respectful. I feel like this is a lot of people don't like talking about controversial stuff. I do because I like to hear other people's opinions and I like to put my opinions out too because I'm very open-minded and I feel as if people should just see other people as who they are, not necessarily their race, ethnicity, nothing like that. And I just want to go ahead and say this why like there's a lot of people up here. Don't let like people make you feel some type of way because of your race. Because there's definitely people out there that have opportunities that you don't. And there's people out there that have and there's opportunities that you have that other people do not. So we need to look at it as a greater picture more than just race and all that. You know what I'm saying? So everyone needs to start looking at people as, you know, their personality and like who they are. So don't dislike anybody or discriminate somebody because of their race or anything like that. That's stupid. We're in 2023, about to go to 2024, and it just needs to stop. You know what I'm saying? Before
Yeah.
things start happening that don't need to happen. You know what I'm saying? We need to be united and we need to learn to love everyone in their way. You know what I'm saying? And respect them in their way. That's all I wanted to say.
Okay. Thanks for coming up, Carmen.
Thank you.
See you. What's up, D?
Hello, and you are in Brother Legends Live. I got a baby in the background, but I need you to tap that screen. Tap, 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 tap. Hello, thank you. Let's get it up now. Let's get the numbers up. We need to get to 20K. Tap the screen.
Appreciate you, D. Everybody, yes, please tap like, send gifts, help us protect the live. We're talking about some sensitive topics up here for TikTok. Show the algorithm that you're gaining value from the live just by tapping the screen as you listen along. We really appreciate it. And it helps us bring more people up here to talk. Crazy Black Librarian, what's going on, sister?
Hey, well, you know this is my thing.
Yeah.
Now she's, I wanted to address Carmen. And
Mhm.
she's gone, and I know that she's a different background than me. But the first thing is, my mother was German, so yes, you can practice German culture within your, while being black. There's black Germans, like you had said.
Mhm.
I think it's very important she understand what part of white she's identifying as. She had mentioned that she said that it's easier just to say she's white. But when she rejects her indigenous part, or in black biracial situation, their black side, and basically just say I'm just white because it's easier. When they reject that in their in front of non-white people, that's what's being rejected in their I'm sorry, when when they say they're white in front of white people and they're indigenous or they're half black or part or black or whatever, um, that's what their community is rejecting in them. If you're rejecting who you are in front of these people, you're going to bring that performance to the native community or the black community. So if
Mhm.
I'm not comfortable in my spirit and my blackness and my indigenous identity, that is what my community sees. That's what they're rejecting. They're rejecting the rejection in me. If I reject myself, my community is going to reject me. And they need to
Mhm.
really try to understand that. But most importantly, they need to understand, what are you identifying when you're saying you're biracial? So there's one thing you're saying, okay, well, I'm, Hawaiian, or I'm indigenous, or I'm black, that's one thing. But when you're saying I'm black and white, what is that white part of you? What are you identifying with? And a lot of times I've been finding that they're identifying with featureism and colorism, and they embrace that and they accept it as some BS mixed privilege, and then they wonder why non you know black people with two black parents, even light skinned, light skinned black people don't like some of that, don't like featureism and colorism either. So when
Mm,
they see that in mixed people, that's what they're rejecting. They're not rejecting your blackness, they're rejecting that whiteness that you've been poisoned with by your white mother, white communities you grew up. You cannot escape those spaces without anti-blackness. It's impossible, and that's where that identity issue and that internalized racism that a lot of them don't even see yet. They don't even see it, and they really need to figure out what is it about the white that they're identifying with. I'm not talking about German. I'm talking about
mm-hmm,
white.
mm-hmm,
What is it about the whiteness and the white culture and the whatever? What are you
mm-hmm.
identifying? And I don't think they fully
Yeah.
understand what they're identifying with.
Yeah. I mean, just taking it into context, to be indigenous and white and then still tell people you're white after knowing the context by which, you know, what they did to your ancestors is kind of wild. Like, it's for you to turn around and claim the colonizer's identity. Um, that's wild. And then also to think about why it's easier. Of course it's easier to just claim white. It was intentionally set up that way. But thank you for sharing that, sister. Um,
Yeah. Thanks for letting me pop up here.
yeah, and shout out to the moderators. I appreciate y'all. Alicia, I saw you in here. Thanks for bringing people up here for me. Um, I'll go to the next guest. Oh, Crazy Black Librarian didn't have to go. All right. Myra, could you give us your age, race, and pronouns, please?
Hi, my name is Mira Fanta. I am 27 years old. I'm black. I'm also biracial. And yeah, I would like to share. Well, I kind of feel like this narrative. My mom is Dutch, my dad is Senegalese. And this narrative of the black community not accepting you, I really don't recognize that. I've never in my whole life felt with my Senegalese family that they try to exclude me. The moment they know I'm Senegalese, it's like, you are Senegalese sister. They, of course, see the difference that I don't look exactly the same, but
Mm-hmm.
I never really felt excluded. I do feel that as a biracial person, not race, but as a person, you do have a certain responsibility. You cannot go into black spaces and want to be the center of blackness. You kind of have to be in a supportive role and know what your place is in that sense. And I think that's very important. But I feel like if you come respectfully, you're actually being very, very much embraced by all kinds of black people. And only if you come with disrespect or come with a colorist mindset or whatever, you're gonna be educated even, and that's still tough love. So I kind of feel like I really don't see. I do see the identity crisis a bit, because you live in this cultural sense of people wanting to push you into sides sometimes. Mostly I feel that with white people. But yeah, I guess that's just what I wanted to share about that.
It's interesting that you say that because the Senegalese president has a wife. You know what I'm saying? He's got a wife with an H.
Mhm.
Um, so I think that's funny because we know how Meghan Markle was treated, um, and she wasn't the first lady, or the one in charge. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of funny because yes, they are accepted in our communities a lot easier.
Yeah,
But thanks for sharing that. That was 100% accurate.
thank you for letting me share that.
Yeah. And the next person, I don't see a name for you. Could you give us your age, race, and pronouns, please?
Hi, I am 23. I'm Afro-Indigenous and I go by they, them.
All right.
And I came across this live and it was very interesting, talking about even mixed race identity, which is something that, it affects me a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm glad you brought that conversation up, because I feel like even what you said before, I really resonates, because I agree as well. Like, you have to be unconditionally like secure in who you are and your identity, and not let other people push you in any box, because at the end of the day, you decide what your, what your identity is, and you have to be unapologetic about it, and that's kind of where I have been with my identity. Is just I've been unapologetic, and I've been proud of both sides. So, no matter what anybody tries to tell me, I'm not gonna like listen to them, because at the end of the day, it's up to the individual on how they identify, and to be kind of unapologetic about it, and have pride in that. But it's very interesting too, because you know, you do see a lot of people who present very differently when they are mixed, right? And a lot of people feel different ways, especially within the Black community. I know it's a lot more, it's not as unified when it comes to the consensus between mixed people, because you do get the people who are like, oh, mixed people are mixed. They're not either black or white, or mixed people are not black automatically, or there are people who are automatically black just because of how the US is set up. And
Mm-hmm.
it's
Mm-hmm.
very interesting, because I've received a lot of anti-blackness because of me being mixed with black, but at the same time too, I also have to kind of sit in this area where I give more, I take away less space from black people themselves, people who are phenotypically black, because for me, I am someone who is still to a certain extent ambiguous. And when it comes to blackness, I'm more so, I think, I don't know. I more so see I present more as native, if that's the case. But when I have my hair out, it's like you can tell that I'm mixed with black. So
Mm-hmm.
I definitely know to stay in my lane when it comes to those situations. So that's why, I've never been fully like, okay, I'm just like I'm proud to just be, or I just identify as black
Yeah.
as itself. But Afro Indigeneity for me has given me the sense of pride of being both at the same time, but also it doesn't also take away from one or the other, but
Right.
also that it's not saying like, oh, I'm, just racially black automatically, but that I represent both at the same time. You know what I'm saying?
I
So
would say racially black, culturally multiracial. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Because
100%. I do
and
see
that's
that.
another thing that you said that it really helps even if you're quote unquote monoracial. Like these terms are
Right.
so
Right.
anyway. You know what I'm saying? Like, well, what is
Yeah, no,
like
I
we're all
know.
monoracial. Like, it's a made up construct, literally
Right.
just built
It
to
is. It's
oppress
made up
people.
by man.
It wasn't a
I
construct that
agree.
was built to just be a neutral term to just categorize
Right.
different looking people. Like, no, built to exclude people from power, from
That
whiteness.
part.
But
That part.
um,
Be-
what one thing that helps me, and it should help all brothers and sisters, is a saying that it says, more melanin, more power. Not
Right.
so the more melanin somebody has, it doesn't always mean melanin like how they present, but it applies to that as well. More melanin, the more power we give them, the more space we give them to speak on their experience when we're talking about experience. And also, it doesn't even just apply to melanin. Also, like me as a monoracial African American, I speak
Right.
English very clearly. I have electricity running in my house 24/7. It doesn't turn off like it does for many on the continent. These are privileges and resources that are given to me by my proximity to our oppressor. So these are privileges. So because of these privileges, I have to be more mindful of brothers and sisters that have more of, even my dark skinned brothers and sisters that are from francophone countries, brothers and sisters that don't learn any colonizer language but speak a native tongue. I've got to understand and be mindful of my privilege in those spaces. And that's what the
100%.
passport, yeah, that's what the passport bros was all about. Because they were wielding their privilege of their American passport all over the world. You know what I'm saying? So we got to be mindful of our privileges, even as monoracial. Some people are phenotypically privileged. Some people are more privileged than their bank account. Some people are privileged just by their proximity to the oppressor. That's it.
Yeah, no,
Don't
100% I
yeah.
agree. When it
Yeah.
comes to even race science, because a lot of people don't realize that this is a white concept, and a lot of people will try to use purity in a way to kind of police other people's blackness. But at the same time, what people need to realize is purity was only centered around European identity. It was only centered in whiteness. So when people try to use these concepts that were created by white people, like, what are you doing? That was literally used to dehumanize you. And it doesn't
Mm-hmm.
even apply at the end of the day.
Right.
It's
Right.
like, and even then, us of the African diaspora, we are intermixed even within African tribes within our lineage. People, our ancestors back then, they constantly intermixed with other indigenous people of Africa. So it's like,
Right.
we're not even 100% the definition of what purity is, obviously.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
Right.
blackness is based is where Africans, especially on the continent, are the African continent itself. I'll just start there. Is the least, I mean, the most diverse genetically. So a European in London is more genetically related to a Japanese person in East Asia than a East
That's not true.
African is to a West African
That's
because
not
of the
true.
genetic diversity on the continent. And so, to be black is to be mixed.
That's,
So being mixed don't make you less black, but be mindful of your privilege. And I appreciate you for sharing that. I'll go to the next guest. I think it's John Fumis. Could you give us your
that's
age, race, and pronouns, please?
as age 44, race doesn't matter, and him.
All right.
I was
And
going
I'll
to
give
say
you
that.
one more chance to answer the race question.
Well, what is race?
What is your race?
What would you want me to be?
All right. He doesn't know. All right, Speed Racer. Have a good time. He doesn't know what a race is.
Just answer the
We'll go to the
question,
next
bro.
person. Thank you, Francesca.
My
Listen,
God.
man, my patience today, like I'm not doing it. Shout out to Francesca for the Panther fans.
When he tried to say that he tried to come back on the genetics about Africa, I'm like,
Yeah,
dude,
genetic diversity of Africa. No, that's been proven by geneticists, anthropologists. Like that's not something we can even debate. That's a quick Google search. But we're not doing. If you can't answer the race question when I ask you what your race is coming up here, you ain't got no business coming up here because we're talking about race, and you need to give us context of who you are. So we're gonna keep it rolling. Mel, could you give us your age, race, and pronouns, please? Mel, you're muted. Mel might have stepped away. Mel, are you here? Want to invite everybody down below, if you could, not the people on the panel, but the people in the chat. Please tap like, tap like. We're at 27K. Let's get to 40.
she was
Appreciate
typing
you.
in the chat. I don't know what happened.
Hello, can you hear me?
We hear someone. Is that Mel?
No, it's not Mel. Mel's mic's muted. It's me
It's
speaking.
London.
Oh, okay. Give us a moment, London. I'm just trying to give her a chance, or I don't know what's going on. Mel, are you still here? If not, I'm gonna go on to the next guest. All right, I don't think it's gonna happen. All right, London, could you give us your age, race, and pronouns, please?
Yes, my age is 35. I am white, British. Pronouns are he.
Okay, thank you. Ken, could you mute, please?
Yeah, so I would just like to say this is a topic related to your points on your board. What is the first thing a successful black sportsman gets when they become successful?
A
What's the first?
trophy
No,
or a ring on their finger.
it's a hot blonde. 99% of successful black sportsmen get a hot blonde woman when they become successful. What does that tell you? What does that tell you?
That tells me that race as a social construct has had one hell of it's done one hell of a job at prioritizing and pedestalizing white women as the default beauty standard. And it also tells me that the contracts of a lot of athletes, well, at least here in America, say that they have to marry someone within a certain tax bracket. And it gets really deep, but there's multiple reasons that happens. A lot of self-hatred,
Yeah, I mean, that's a
things
few
like
points of
that.
view. I think the real
Yeah.
reason is because in the black man's mind who's become successful, he thinks the white woman is an easier life than going out with a black woman. Now, I don't think that's true because I'm a white guy and I shag white women and black women, and I don't see that difference. But in America, the black guy thinks that the black woman will give him a hard life, and the white woman will give him an easy life. That's my point of view.
That's a false
You
point of
think in
view. That's
America,
not true.
you've been conditioned to believe that.
Well, no, that's what I'm getting. That's the feedback I'm getting.
No, that's false feedback. I know a lot of football players and basketball players.
And all of the
None of them have
footballers
said
in
it was
Britain
easier.
that have black wives, something I've researched myself. It's how I know you coming up here and just trying to push an agenda. The footballers in England, especially London, have black women.
No, that's not true. Give me one example. Give me one example.
Have you seen Bukayo Saka?
That's one example.
One
You
example
just
I
said
just
give them an
gave you. I
example.
just gave
Virtually
you.
every, virtually every black man in England, the footballers, they all have white birds, man. There's a very
I think it
small
just triggers
example.
you that there are thin-lipped women out there that want black men. I think that
Precisely.
triggers you. I think that's bothering you a little bit.
It doesn't trigger me. I don't give a shit, to be honest. I will shag white
Then
women
why
and
did you
black.
come up here talking about it? Because that's not what the topic is about.
What is the topic then?
Can you read?
It's a lot of words actually.
So you just saw a black guy and decided to come up here and talk about this? Yeah, it's definitely on your mind. There's a meme going around where it's like no one, and then it's like it says nothing, right? And then it says white men, and then it has like a thought bubble with like a black uh phallus in it. You know what I'm saying? Because like you guys are thinking about our private parts a lot.
Okay, so your topic
It's
is
a thing.
biracial isn't the race. That's very condescending to biracial people.
You're not even biracial. And I've
I didn't
just
say,
had like 4
I didn't say
biracial
you
people
were.
up here, and none of them said
Sorry?
it was condescending.
Well, it's very aggressive. The wording is aggressive. Biracial.
Aggressive. Oh, okay. So now we're
That's
using
just
the
accurate.
aggressive black man trope. And these are words. How can words be aggressive? Like that's wild.
Well, the word isn't is aggressive, isn't it? Isn't is aggressive word, isn't it? It's not a
Isn't
neutral
is an
word.
aggressive word.
For
What sort of
somebody
word?
who originally started
Listen, I'm
English,
not
you're
going to
pretty
take up
trash
too
at
much
it.
He
time, but there
left.
was nothing about what you said aggressive. He don't know. He is speaking for a group of people he obviously does not belong to. He is, and I'm going to say this, brother Legend,
Hmm.
you are 150% correct. I lived in an all for 5 years. I lived in an all white town surrounded by all white people in rural Eastern Oregon, and they are obsessed with parts of bodies of
Right.
other people. I'm not. Listen, I don't want to get any strikes or nothing, but
Yeah.
I don't know what it. I don't know. I don't know, man. I don't know why
Yeah.
they are
Dr.
obsessed with
Francis
it.
Cresswell Singh explains it. It's a fear of what that can do because um what they have to what it takes them 3 generations to do with their dingaling in order to make white tea children with black people. It takes 3 generations for them. It takes us one. If I get a frosted female pregnant right now, that child's coming out black. That's not going to be a white child. And if they lay down with a sister, that child's coming out black as well. And that's their problem. That's why they're so afraid and heavily invested in what goes on with our dingaling. And it's also why Dr. Frances Cress Welsing, this is her opinion, she says that's also why they paint Pum Pums black, because of you know, they need to
The
use
power.
this. Yeah, they need to use this to get rid of
Intake.
us.
That's a very
But
interesting take.
yeah, like they use this, boom, boom, pow, pow. They use that to get rid of us. We could use, if we wanted to, this, and the next generation would be all black. Like, you know, if I was the last man on Earth, and if I was the last black person on Earth, as a man, the black race will still live on. If he was the last white man on Earth, it's over for them. So that's the thing. But we'll keep it going. Everybody, don't forget to tap like. We're going to 50K. Let's get to 50K likes. Please protect the live. Keep tapping like, tapping like. Racism is an expression. Racism derives from a fear of a world that doesn't look like them. And one thing that can stop a world from looking like them is a black ding-a-ling-a-ling. So they are afraid of that. We'll move on to the next.
Just real quick
Yeah.
question. Is that why they always insist when I say I'm black, why they always insist, and they even do this with Obama. When I always say Obama's black or black president, they're always, well, he's half white. He's half, like, almost like they're claiming that. Is that what that is?
Yeah, well, they try. I mean, yeah, that's what Dr. Frances Cress Welsing also. If you want to learn about any of the stuff that we're talking about down in the chat, Dr. Frances Cress Welsing, the ISIS Papers, or her 2010 lecture on YouTube. Dr. Frances, like France, the country, France with an S at the end. Frances Welsing, Welsing. Look up her YouTube lecture where she breaks this down. But yeah, the white tea woman has a child by a black man, and she says the child is biracial because she refuses to look at the child and say that the child is anything other than her. She has to include herself in the child's identity, even though the race construct says that in order to be white, you have to be people without color. So you can't have color and be without color.
Dr.
But anyway,
Francis, Dr.
yeah.
Francis, also she got on TV and debated a eugenist and destroyed him, and that's some of the best media I've ever watched. So Dr. Frances Cress Welsing, rest her soul, is one of the greatest of our time.
Yeah, shout out to the
And
ancestor,
she
Dr.
deserves to be
Francis.
celebrated.
Dr. Francis, yeah, she dedicated her life to it. Her and Neely Fuller Jr., the compensatory counter-racist code is the name of Dr. Neely Fuller Jr.'s book. All right, so we'll go on to the next guest. Ken, could you give us your age, race, and pronouns, please? And thanks for camming up. That's actually fire. Oh no, he took the camera off. Oh, okay, he's back.
Oh,
Thank
yeah,
you,
I'm
Ken.
32.
All right.
Yeah, I'm back. Yep. Yeah, I'm 32. I'm Filipino.
Okay.
And I'm a guy, him, he.
All right.
Yep.
And go ahead, talk to us.
But biracial isn't a race, it's multiple races. So it's still technically a type of race, right?
No.
Yeah, it's multiple races mixed in one.
No, that's not how that works. So biracial is a description of what your parents are, not you yourself. When we're talking about race as a social construct, some of us like to take it to like genetics, which is called eugenics, which is pretty you know who World War II was fought against? You know, like the Germans. They believed in like the genetics of race, and we don't go there. You know, that's kind of dark. But when it comes to what race you are, um, because it's a made up construct and you are only one person, there is only one race that you identify as, You can be a biracial Asian person. You can be a biracial black person. You
So
can't
what's
be a
logic then?
biracial white person.
So what's logic? Is he black or white?
Logic has claimed himself as biracial. So that being the case, if somebody does decide that they want to claim, for example, I know some people that say that their race is nine ether. You know what I'm saying? Some people claim that their race is, popsicle stick. We'll accept people for whatever they want to claim themselves as, but under the construct of race, by race, under the construct um, you got an echo. But under the construct of race, there is a thing that if you want to do some research, there's a Harvard Journal entry, a research study that was conducted, I think, in 2010, where they talk about hypodescent and how it is actively still a part of how race is perceived in the world and specifically in America. Hypodescent is what some people call the one drop rule, which says that you cannot be a mixed white person. People like to pretend when they come on this in my lives, particularly when we talk about this, they like to pretend that the one drop rule went away, it has changed, it's different. But the thing is, it's still here in America. White people do not consider anyone with a non-white parent to be white. And that's just how that goes. Until that changes, until race itself is no longer a discriminatory social construct,
Yeah, so what would you say logic
yeah.
is though? What race would you personally say he is?
I personally cannot tell you. I'm going to tell you that he is the race that he claims to be. And if he wants to claim something that's not part of the racial social construct, then he's whatever he says he wants to be. He says he wants to claim biracial, then he can be biracial. But that's me thinking as a Pan-African. If he were to claim himself as black, though, we would accept him as black. He's not white. We would accept him as black. There have actually been, if you
But
look
he
up
looks
Adam,
white though.
see, and that's where the second point loses you, because phenotype is how you look. Phenotype is not the only factor in determining racial identity. So what that means is name one physical attribute all black people have that make them black.
The darkness of the skin.
All right, so are there not dark-skinned Indian people?
Are there not dark-skinned Indian people?
I know people from the
Yeah, there is.
Philippines with dark skin. So are
Yeah,
they
we have
black?
black people there. Yeah.
So you're saying Indian people are black?
Um, mm, I don't know. That's
I was about to
tough.
celebrate. I'm about to say, "Oh shit, we can claim India now, y'all. We taking over."
I'm not going to New Delhi. I'm not going to
Hey,
New
we
Delhi.
got
They ain't
Indian
got
people now.
nothing.
He had to think about it though.
I
No,
mean,
man.
some
and
white
then
people would say that they're
all
black.
right. Hold on. So now you're gonna tell us Alicia Keys isn't black either? Or what about Malcolm X? He's not dark skinned. So
He's
how
darker than
dark does
white.
your skin need to be in order to be black? Please.
I don't know.
I know you don't know because there's no answer to that question. There is no one physical attribute that all black people have in common to make them black. Even if they present the way that logic presents, what makes you black is not just your phenotype, it's also your ancestral homeland or the continent of your ancestors. So because he has a father who has ancestors tied to the continent of Africa, that would also be part of what, it's not just his phenotype. There's phenotype, genotype, and then there's how you identify. Because of how he identifies, I would say I'm not going to force a black identity onto someone that doesn't want to claim to be black. However, he has the ingredients.
So, but what if I wanted to identify as black, but I'm not black though?
Then we wouldn't accept you as black. We'd call you Rachel Dolezal.
Yeah, but you said that was one part of the ingredients to identify yourself.
Do you have African ancestry?
I don't think so. No.
And I can clearly see you don't have enough melanin. You have a Asian phenotype, so you don't have those two. So if you just say I'm black, I'm black, I'm black, we're going to call you Rachel Dolezal. You have to have one of those two. You have to either have the African phenotype or an ancestry tied to the continent. If you don't have one of those two, then how you identify does not matter. If you have an African phenotype and you identify as black, we'll accept you, even if you don't know your ancestry. If you have African ancestry, but you look like Logic, but you identify full-time as black, then we'll accept you as black. But if you have an African phenotype, so it means you look African, and you have African ancestry, but when we ask you if you're black, you say, I'm no black, I'm Dominican, or I'm Egyptian, or I'm an Israelite, I'm indigenous to America. If you say any of those other answers, we don't want you. You can go somewhere else. We're good. But some people don't have the phenotype like him. He has a more Eurocentric phenotype, but he has the ancestry. So if he wanted to identify as black, he could. He chooses not to because there's no reward in identifying as black in an anti-black world. So we understand that.
He only mentions his black parent because he can say the N-word in a song.
Talk about it.
Roger got bars now a little bit, but yeah, he only mentions his black dad and everything when he mentions it because he wants to identify as biracial. So it's not. That's a bad example to bring up, in my opinion. Logic. He's.
Oh, something happened to him.
Yeah, what if someone lies though, and they said they did have an African ancestry, but they didn't? You wouldn't know.
If they did lie, then
you wouldn't know.
Yeah, but if they did lie, then they lie.
Who would lie about having African?
That's what I'm saying. Like now we're going too far. Like you could lie and say you're Puerto Rican.
Whatever.
You could lie right now and say you're Puerto Rican, and I'd believe you. Like, does that mean you're Puerto Rican? Like what?
No, it doesn't. But you.
All right.
I mean, I could lie about it.
All right, but then you're a liar. And what does that have to do with What does that have to do with anything? Like now you I feel like you're trying to poke holes, but it's not working. That's like okay, the person lied.
Yeah, I'm saying no. My point was you wouldn't know if they're actually black or not. That was my point.
You wouldn't know if someone's black or not if they look like Logic.
You're trying to be facetious.
I know he's trying so hard now. What do you got? What did you come up here for, Ken? Other than to cause trouble?
I was just out for the debate.
No, this is not a debate. This is a discussion, not a debate.
I mean, discussion. Yeah, discussion. I was just here for the discussion.
I mean, yeah, but I think you finished or you're done.
You're being disingenuous.
Yeah, like what are you doing now? We're good. We want to talk about liars now, then we can talk about that on another show. I'm gonna go to the next guest. Thanks for coming up. Barbie, could you give us your age, race, and pronouns, please?
Hi, yes, I'm 28 and I'm black and I'm she, her.
All right. And what brings you up? Give us your thoughts.
So I saw the topic and I also do TikTok and I spoke about something similar. So like I would be considered a biracial person, but I identify as black. And I guess like you were talking about phenotype, like you might look at me and not think that like I'm a black woman because of my features or, maybe I'm a little bit light skinned. So, but I identify as black and I feel like it's very important to know that in this country, America, if you have that one drop of black, then you are black. So, and if you are black, according to Dr. Francis Cress Welsing, if you have that one drop, then you are black. So I feel like it's easy.
According to Dr. Francis Cress Welsing, what?
According to Francis Cress Welsing, if a person mixes with black, then
What is your mother
that
and your
That's
becomes
father's
not
color?
according to Dr. Frances Cress Welsing.
Okay,
yeah.
what?
That is according. She says
No, it's not.
that black is the dominant race. It's a dominant race. It takes over. That the only way to be white is to be
She
100%.
What is your
never
mother
said
and your
black was a
father?
dominant race. And I feel like
In
you're
the
coming up
ISIS
here to,
paper.
you're
In the
being a
ISIS paper.
chaos agent, aren't you?
No, I'm not.
I don't know. It feels like you
What
are
is your mother and
because
your father? What race is
So,
your mother and father?
so I'm black, but I'm black from Cuba.
What is your mother and father?
My mother is black and my father is mixed with Jewish and Japanese. So why are you laughing for?
you said your father is mixed with Jewish and Japanese.
Yes.
We didn't ask what.
And
Anyway,
I'm black
yeah,
Cuban.
we didn't ask what God he prayed to or what he was mixed with. We asked what he was. But let's say, you said your mother is black.
Yes.
Okay, so what you said was wrong there because Dr. Frances Cress Welsing breaking down to you how race works is not according to Dr. Frances Cress Welsing. You understand? If I say that the sun is in the center of our solar system, are you going to start saying, well, according to legend, the sun is in the
No,
center of the quarter? No,
sorry.
no, wait, hold on, don't interrupt. So you're not going to say, according to me, the sun is in the center of the solar system. I think that's wait, who came up with that? That's Newton, right? I don't know. That's not Newton. Who what's the guy? I forgot his name. Somebody knows. The guy that came up with the heliocentric solar system model. He has a Greek name. I forgot his name. Galileo. There you go. According to Galileo, uh, the sun is in the middle of the solar system. Not according to me. Dr. Frances Cress Welsing is only telling you how racism was set up 500 years ago. She's not telling you that she's theorized that hypodescent is the way in which things should be run. Don't put that on her. She's a sociologist and a doctor, a clinical psychologist that has studied race long enough to know that that is how things operate in this world that is run by race that was created 500 years ago.
Yes, yes. No,
Okay.
I'm sorry. I'm not an expert. I'm not an expert like you are, but I have read the ISIS papers. I found it to be very educational for me, and I just brought up Frances Cress Welsing because you mentioned her before.
Well, yeah, and also you said dominant race. It's just the wording, and that's why I have to clear it up because where this live is more honestly. And shout out to everybody that comes on the live a lot. Oh, and keep tapping like y'all. We're not even at 50K yet. Y'all sleeping on the job, man. I need y'all to protect the live. Please tap like. Let's get to 50K likes. But you also said black was a dominant, and that is dominant and recessive genes exist. That is what geneticists say. Okay, that is science. That is not a dominant race. That is wild way to word that. That is horribly wrong. You don't ever want to say there is a dominant race. That is hard. That's disgusting. Don't ever say that again. So I'm letting you know. No,
I
I'm just
didn't
letting
mean
you know
it
how
like that.
bad that
I just
is.
meant
Like,
once something mixed with black, it's not white anymore because it has color.
But are we talking about
there are
generations
dominant
now?
and
Or are we talking
recessive
about parents?
genes.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Like, sorry if
There are,
I
but see, that's what I'm saying. There are dominant and recessive genes. Dominant genes just mean that these are genes that were here first. Recessive means that these genes were curated over thousands of years to adapt to a certain region. But the African, like phenotype, the genes from the continent of Africa, all humans are from there first.
Yes.
So before they adapted to Europe, Europeans were African, were black. Before way 100,000 years ago, before race, before all of that. So that being the case, whenever they have a child with an African or a black person, their genes, which are now recessive, are going to revert back to their original state, which would be Black or African. So that's how that works. And don't say dominant race. Okay. So cool.
Okay.
Now we're back on the same page.
Yeah,
Let's
sorry
keep
about
going.
that. But yeah, I just wanted to share my experience. Like I know one person came up here and said that to to say biracial is not a race is offensive, and I don't find it offensive. You know, I don't find it offensive. I find it offensive when I say that I'm Black and I have a lot of people come to me and tell me that I'm not. You know, but I didn't.
Why do you find that offensive? What do you think the reason is they say that?
I think it's definitely easier to identify as biracial because I guess you
It
don't
was
think
it was
of it.
invented to be that way. It's always been easier to identify as anything but Black.
Yeah,
Identifying as Black is hard for me too, and I'm monoracial. It's hard every day. So it's
yeah,
always easier to be anything but Black. But um, we've all as Black people been to a cookout with somebody that didn't have the full African phenotype. So that's not something that is really much of a shock to us. When someone tells you that you're not Black, it's usually because of something you've said, something you've done to trigger them. So saying things like dominant race, certain things like that, even set off an alarm in my head, to be honest. I would
okay.
just say be
Sorry, I
mindful
just
of.
I do speak three languages, so like, you know, you know,
Okay.
not maybe I'm not like saying it in English correctly, but
Yeah.
I'm saying what I'm just trying to say is that I do agree with you. I think the conversation has to be had. Um, and and I think that, you know, even as with the way that I look, I've even experienced racism, especially in corporate America, with as many credentials as I have, as many languages as I can speak, and with as many, you know, things that I have behind my name to make it in corporate America. Even I felt like I experienced, you know, a certain racial discrimination because
Do you participate in Black cultures?
yes, yes.
Okay. And what culture would that be? African American, Afro
Well, I would
Cuban?
say more, I would say that even though my ancestry is from Cuba,
Hmm.
um, being an American, I think I'm treated as an African American, and I identify with African American culture
Do
more and
you
African American people more.
do do you hang out with mostly Black people? Is that like your family?
Yeah, like definitely my family, my friends. Um, I
Mm.
have a lot of Black friends and a lot of, but and that's who I feel that I can connect with the most, like on a level on a level.
So, do you speak AAVE at all?
Um,
It is.
Because that's part of what's going to be a big red flag for you, to be honest. Because you sound very professional.
yeah, I do give off that. And that's because, you know, I guess I went to like a predominantly white school and a predominantly white college, and you know, I worked in a predominantly white place, you know, so that's why I have a certain way of speaking, but
What I'm saying
it's
is,
not
yeah, I
normal, you
mean,
know. And
and then
just because a person speaks the way I speak doesn't mean that they can't identify
I didn't
as
say they
Black.
couldn't identify. I'm telling you what the red flags are.
The red flag was the Cardi B, the Afro descent. It was more of a relation of something down the line being Black with so-called 1%, then you're Black. That's what I took. That's why I said, well, what are your parents? Because it's correlating. I feel like I'm Black because I'm experiencing such and such, or I equate myself closer to a certain community. Because anyone else would have said, oh, I'm Afro Latina, or I'm this or this in regards to being Black. But it's very much giving, okay, what are you correlating as your blackness? I'm confused because even when you ask,
Afro-Latino. Yes, I'm Afro-Latino.
okay, well, I just gave you the word. Okay, cool.
Thank
At the
you.
end of the day, it's baby. Don't get sassy with me. I'm not the one.
I don't
No,
think she got sassy.
She
see,
What
look
she
at the
said?
face. Look at the
you
face.
just spoke.
Oh,
Look at
oh,
the
my
face.
bad. I wasn't
You
looking.
told me that, like, because I didn't say it a certain way, and I have to
I
say
said
it
I just gave you a word because if you know what you are, there's no question of how you feel. You identify as something. You are that without question.
Right.
Black. Does it have to be Afro-Latina? Does it have to be African American? Isn't black just enough?
No, black is not just black, and that's what he's correlating as well. That's why he's asking you what necessarily your culture is. There are Africans that are black. There are Nigerians that are black. There are people from Ghana, Jamaica that are black. Hell, you can be from Cuba and be Asian. What are we talking about?
Yeah,
He's
you
talking
can
about a
be
location.
from Cuba. To be Cuban is just to be an American. You can be Black American. You can be.
Miss Barbie, if I will,
Yes, sir.
do you think yourself as like your image of yourself? Do you think you present as a black woman?
Of course.
I don't think.
My
Why?
beauty,
How is
my
that helpful,
beauty,
Rashad?
my
Please
beauty
break
is Black
down,
beauty. Of course, that's what makes me beautiful.
Rashad.
You can
How was
always
that
have these
helpful?
lips. You
Why
can
did
always
you?
have
Why
these.
did you take us there?
That's why I
Why did
said
you take us?
I was just trying to
I
see
need
her
to know.
perspective
What?
on it.
Go ahead, talk, Rashad.
No, I was just trying to see her perspective on it. I wasn't really trying to prove or say anything.
Oh,
I was
Oh
just
my
asking
my
God,
questions.
beauty is
Rashad.
Black beauty. My beauty is Black beauty. My features are of a Black woman.
All right.
Yes.
I would say the answer to that was no. You should have, in your privilege, understood that you don't um, have the phenotype of a black person. That, well, I would say you don't have an African phenotype. Black, of course, comes in many different shades. We look many different ways. However, um, your claim to your culture as a black woman would be mostly cultural and how you were brought up along with your ancestry.
Yes.
And so that's why I was asking about your culture, because the third question in my diaspora game and how we identify with some ourselves is, do you have an African phenotype or genotype, and do you identify full-time as black?
Yes.
So the identifying full-time as black is, do you participate in our culture? Are you black in here? Are you African in here?
Yes.
So that being the case, that's why I'm asking you about your culture. And I would say for you, the phenotype is not there, but the ancestry could be there. And because you have a black mother, you said, is she monoracial?
Yes. So I'm
Okay.
half Black.
Okay, so cool. So the phenotype is just not there. You know, you don't look in the mirror and look like your mother does. So, you know what I'm saying? That's just part of it, you know. Not being aware of that helps you not take up space in black spaces with colorism and privileges like that.
And that's just what I wanted to speak to, is that there are people that look like me that feel very much African, and I just wanted to just on your platform say that there is a spot for us too, that there is something that for you to recognize that there are people that may look very much a certain way but still identify very much as Black.
Maybe chime in a little bit?
Hold on just a moment.
Okay.
We're almost done. So then I would also,
disrespectful
and
or rude or anything like
I
that.
don't think you were doing any of that. What I would also just say is that you also have to be aware of your privilege in censoring yourself in a space like this, because you don't phenotypically present. Speaking on your experience could speak over the experience of others, but we are talking about biracial people today. Crazy Black Librarian, did you want to say something?
I don't know you, Barbie. I have met some white presenting mixed biracials, black parent, white mother, and also even white presenting where both their parents were black, black Americans, specifically from Louisiana. And my friend who had the both black parents, actually, if you took her next to the biracial, she looked actually more white. She was more white presenting than the other biracial. And
Yeah, I've seen that as well.
I feel like almost, and I'm not trying to assume, but with my experience with other biracials and their colorism and featureism, I found them only trying to prove their blackness to black people, and they never had to prove their white part to white people. I don't know if you can understand that. I think that's the only way I can kind of explain it. So I'm getting a feeling you're trying to convince or prove or um, almost acting or trying too much. um I don't know. That's really the only thing I'm saying. It just feels like
That's valid.
almost like you've been taking notes and you're saying certain things, hitting certain, I'm a black woman, I'm proud, all these great things that are actually very true, but to me it doesn't feel 100% genuine.
Well, I'm coming up here on a live with like people that I don't know, trying to express myself. It's not the easiest thing to do, and it could also cause, like, how people have stage fright, like, and they don't get their words out correctly. Like, that could be the situation that I'm going through right now. But I do understand what you mean about, colorism versus like straight racism. Like with white people, I think I have experienced like racism, like just straight up racism. But with black people, I feel like I faced colorism, like,
Okay, so real
but
quick,
I don't think I never faced racism with my own. Like, I never faced racism.
the colorism comes from white supremacy. So when you're in these white spaces, they're teaching you that you're the exception in a lot of these white spaces that you're going through. So when you're coming into these spaces, understand something. You don't have to prove anything. And that performance you put on in white spaces, you're bringing it here. So you're proving your whiteness to white people, and that performance, you're bringing it here, because I'm almost sensing some biracial tears in there that are very, very similar to white tears. So I'm not assuming that is you. I'm just saying I'm starting to feel like we're moving into a space where, almost, I don't know. It's almost, it's uneasy, and that's why I don't really want to speak too much on it, because I'm learning to listen. And in spaces like this, I do prefer black women and black men to kind of speak first. So I'm just getting an uneasy feeling with your presentation.
Me too.
Okay, that's
Except
fine.
I couldn't put a nail on it like Crazy Black Librarian did, but she
That
she
might be
actually is
because, like,
biracial herself. But
yeah.
no,
No,
yeah,
I'm
I
sorry
think
I'm coming across that way. I think I'm just like a little bit nervous,
all
and
right, you don't gotta be nervous. There's
and
nothing
I
to be
think you're
nervous about.
right. I
Hmm.
think you're right. Like, maybe I need to like just let let go a little bit and like loosen up. But
You didn't have to
and I'm not
make
crying or anything.
no.
It's just like a little bit nerves, like, that. But it's not that. But
But what the
I
thing
do hear
is,
where you're
you
coming
didn't have to come up here to validate any blackness in yourself. If I was black and biracial and watching this live, I probably would have just watched, had a few laughs, maybe comment a few times, correcting, some people. But you know what I'm saying? We know white passing, or I would say you pass as white, but I would say, we know some people don't have the phenotype all the way. You didn't have to come up here to prove that to us. We understand that already,
from. Okay.
so we understand that.
Okay, okay. I think the reason why I came up is because I didn't know if you were if you guys like understood that. I didn't know, but yeah, thank you.
There he is.
There you go.
It's very interesting to hear white women with black husband and black children come up and they'll say, I just want to listen, but here you are. And that's all I want to say because it's very it's frustrating to have people say they've been listening, but the first thing they do is the tokenizing. So I apologize for interrupting.
listen, I'm gonna be honest. I can be rude. I can be the devil sometimes, and I don't have a problem with that. But I think it's interesting if you come into a space and it's something that you can relate in reference to. I would just sit in the audience and listen. But I don't know, brother. I don't know if y'all heard what Jackie was saying.
I
But
was
she was
not
saying,
here. My
okay,
phone
she's
was
saying
dead.
that she has I think a black spouse, and she has biracial black children, and they were going through a lot. And I think her daughter was teaching her about black culture or just kind of racism and how she's seeing the world from her eyes. So I don't know if you want to start back over, Jackie, or if you want to answer Brother Live's questions up above.
Yeah. I missed it. So go ahead. Is that Jackie? Did she give us your age, race, and pronouns?
Yeah, I am white, 48, and she, her.
All right. So what's going on with you?
And I just really appreciate this space. And I just won't say much more. I mean, I don't know. Like, I think what Crazy Black Librarian said is very true. Like, I think I did come on here because I want to say that I appreciate the space, and I want to listen more, and so I don't know.
All right. I don't know what
Yeah.
they said, but sound like it rang. It rang some bells. Cool.
Basically,
So go ahead.
come up here and give your perspective. That's okay. You can like give your perspective and your opinion, but when it comes to like kind of tokenizing black people and then those being, I understand those are your children, so you're gonna speak about them and speak from their perspective as well, but that is a part of tokenizing. So when you come up here, you're just displaying how you have a proximity to the conversation rather than you just saying how you appreciate it like you did just now. I think that's what they're trying to get at.
Okay,
Yeah.
Well,
thanks.
and the other thing is, I'm really glad you do have a daughter and she's teaching you, but that's not her responsibility. I think you should also really listen for one, but like you say, you've been doing, but you really need to go and educate yourself on
Mhm.
the history and the dynamics of white women with black men. There is a deep insidious rooted history that in my eyes it's still alive today, and I don't think a
Absolutely.
lot of white women realize they have that spirit
Mhm.
of wanting ownership, wanting to uh not appropriate, but have to own, it's ownership. And I'm not saying that that's
Mm-hmm.
what you do, but in order for you to really fully understand your position in all of this, I really recommend you continue to listen and go and listen to experts on this, historians on this. I can't even begin to start naming people that
They
speak
were her
on.
property.
There you go. That's the one I was actually thinking of. But there's so many books written about the psychology behind your choice. And I'm only saying
Mhm.
that because I had to accept the reason why my white mother, my German mother, chose my dad, because that shit
Mhm.
carries on. And a lot of times what you guys don't realize is some of the things you may say to, even if it's, oh, you're half white, that is damaging to a child's identity who's going to be a black person in society. So
Mhm.
those little things, it's very important, especially white mothers, and I can really only speak on white mothers because I had a white mother, but you have to understand your position in in all of this and why. You may not be the have the colonizer mentality. For me, it's hard for me to see that in most white women I've met and so forth. But I really advise you strongly to spend at least 2 years internalizing and deconstructing whiteness in you. I know it's hard for a lot of women to accept it, but you really need to accept it. Otherwise, some biracials, not you, end up with serious mental illness that's
Mm.
coming from experience, identity issues,
Mhm.
institutionalization. Do you understand what I'm saying? You
Mhm.
really need to start when you get off this live, you go Google. Y'all love to Google. Go Google some
Mhm.
books. Go Google. There's workbooks. There's workbooks that you can sit and work through and you don't even have to tell anybody this. Some women, some people I've met, they think it's some sort of shame to go and grow and evolve and have a better understanding of themselves, in
Mm.
order to not abuse their own children. And it's not. Do it when you're alone. Do it in the closet. I don't care, but you
Mhm.
need to do that. Okay, I'm done.
That's
Mm-hmm.
important. Beautifully put.
Okay.
How y'all
I'm
doing?
overall, I guess I'm just worried about them. I'm worried about them. I'm worried about, yeah, because my family is just my white family is not good, and they really don't have any more of their black family. So like
And you
most
know
of
what?
them are
I'm going to go
passed
ahead and
Keep them away
interrupt you
from
right
them.
there. I'm
Yeah.
there with you. Both my parents passed away 99 2000. I grew up without my black family. I grew up in the white community. All of them are pretty much gone except for my black community. I'm going to tell you
Mhm.
right now, it is almost a good thing. It's the best thing you can do to cut them off from the whiteness.
Hmm.
150%. You're not going to hear me negate that, but you need to find a way to build a relationship, some sort of connection to their black side. Otherwise, that child's going to resent you later.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Thank
Well, shout out to
you.
Crazy
thank
Black
you.
Librarian doing this work up here,
Yeah,
man.
shout out, shout out.
Thank
Absolutely.
you. And
Thanks for coming up. All right. Shout out to Crazy Black Librarian holding it down while my phone was dead. That was a wild time. Usually my phone turns right back on, but it needed a moment to charge, I guess. I'll go to the next guest. Beans, could I have your age, race, and pronouns?
The age, come on. 43.
40.
She's her black
All right.
with a white
And
mother.
what's going on?
Oh, I seen your backdrop, and you know how I feel about this. And I've been today. I was just having a conversation with my daughter, trying to break this down for her because whew, the I don't know if they are actual biracial people on this app or if it's just people with fake accounts, but the rhetoric
Mm-hmm.
and anti-blackness and this movement that I keep coming across is is pathetic, it's disgusting, and I don't even
Yeah.
know what to make of it. I don't know if it's real. I don't know. Are there really that many people out here that think this way?
It's the internet. The internet gives voices to people that shouldn't have them sometimes, but I would say it's mostly the internet. I haven't, of course, a lot of what they say exists in the real world, but as a movement, I think it's just the internet.
Mhm. Well, I
Hopefully.
mean, it's colorism at the end of the day.
Right.
It's texturism, and that's what I was trying to get across to them. But you even see it because they'll in the comments you will see that somehow black women are supposed to be jealous of them
Mm.
because of
Mm.
their and they say it's because of their but it's because they're closer to whiteness and they some kind of and because of that they don't want to admit it but they are proud of their closeness to
That's
whiteness and that's
crazy.
what
That's crazy. And it's crazy to me because anecdote, personally, the dark skinned sisters that I know,
hmm,
they ain't jealous of nobody.
right.
Like the dark skinned sisters I know love their skin. They oil it, make sure it's well maintained. The dark skinned sisters I know, they think they the shit. So I don't know where they getting that from, that they jealous.
Well, I
It's
think it's also a
Yeah.
lot, it's reversed too, because biracials, a lot of them have identity issues. Black women, black girls don't. And they're
Mhm.
jealous of that. They don't want to admit that, but that's what
true.
they're being taught. And and it is what it is.
Mhm.
This is true. This is true. But like I always I always say at a certain age, which I am 43, and I did deal with this like in elementary, middle school. I think by the time I got to high school, uh, I found myself and where I was my identity, and nobody could tell me my identity. It is what it is. But at the same time, I wouldn't want to push nobody to be. If you don't want to be a part of the black community, hey. But the anti-blackness, the the trying to spread that is not conducive to anything. You can go be a part of wherever the community you're trying to start, the biracial community, and the anti-blackness has got to stop. It's not that you don't want to be either or, because you don't have the same energy for white people.
Mm. 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 Yeah, I heard that.
And there's a talking about there's never been a light skinned black. I've never. I don't know. Somebody needs to educate these people, all the while calling themselves mulatto.
Mhm. Well, thank you for that breakdown. Um, Beans is one of the first guests I had up
Mhm.
on this live
Got in
that I
trouble.
was able to unpack this with. So I appreciate you coming back and sharing with
I
us.
we had to take a break because I think the Discord, I got in a little bit of trouble. I think that's what was going on. I was like, no, but take a step back.
Hmm. Well, I understand. Yeah, social media gets crazy, but
But
appreciate you
I
as always.
appreciate you bringing me up. I had seen that, and I was gonna. I think which I was on another account. I requested the other night, but my phone went off. Um,
Mm.
so
Oh, okay.
I see you doing your thing. I still come in and try to support it every once in a while. I don't know if you catch me every time, but I still come through.
Well, thank you.
Just can't be in the Discord.
Always supportive. Yes. All right, and I'll go
Alex,
to the next guest. Thank you again, sister. Everybody keep tapping like. Oh wow, we're at 82. How did that happen? How did that happen?
I just wanted to
That's crazy.
remind people, the biracials that do identify with mulatto, you're identifying with a mule. So stop that. Don't do that anymore.
thank you,
Please don't do that.
thank
I
you.
wanted to just add that little bit on beans. I had someone who's you.
I guess I could have explained it
Well,
better.
I
Thank
had
you.
someone in my comment section in one of my videos, and he calls himself, or she calls themselves, mulatto something. And I was just like, first, he's probably a troll, but I'm just like, do they not know?
Somebody came up here yesterday talking about we all had animal ancestors. Were you here yesterday? That was
Mm.
I listened, and I'm listening. I'm actually in the middle of your YouTube live, because I do watch a lot of the videos again on the YouTube live. But
yeah.
I did not.
You're on YouTube?
There's
Yeah, yeah.
that was I don't
Anybody
know.
that wants to see our lives, go to my profile. There's a YouTube button. I post them all on YouTube, so you can catch them all there if you miss anything.
The only thing I hate about it, and I don't hate it, but we don't get to see who's talking.
I know because I would have to get people to cam up every time.
Oh, okay.
But I am trying to figure out a way where I can make it like make markers on the YouTube so that it can skip to the next guest. So you can listen to each, you can like select which guest.
Okay.
You know what
Okay.
I'm saying? That's
Yeah.
the next thing I was going to think to do to make it easier, but I'm going to get better with it over time. But I would have to ask everyone to cam up to come up here, which means I'd have less participants. So I'm working on it. I'm gonna have
TikTok
to.
does this weird thing where you're supposed to have a band to go live, but
Mm,
apparently, and this is how I got on your live because I only have 700. You can just talk. I don't know when they added that. They didn't.
right.
It's not like they said anything. I don't think, but definitely you got to have a band to show your camera.
Right. Yeah, that's another thing. So yeah, there are some people that don't have enough followers to go live. I mean, to show their camera. So Yeah.
But you were making people cam up at first. Did you stop doing that, or?
I was, and then I had stopped because it wasn't it, I wasn't getting like enough people to come up, so I was just like, instead of me sitting here talking to myself, I'll let you guys up. You just gotta give me your age, race, and pronouns. But yeah, I might have to go back to that and just see what happens. But I tried a show 2 nights ago where I tried to ask everyone to cam up, and again, I don't get enough people because people might not want to come up here and be presentable enough to show up on here. So that's the thing. I'll figure it out. I got to work on I'm always growing the platform, doing different things. So I'll try to solve that issue. But yeah, thanks for checking out my YouTube, guys. If you want to listen, I try not to make them too long. I'm going to try to like stick to like 2 hours per live because some of them are like 4 or 5 hours. But
Oh,
yeah, but it is good for my algorithm because YouTube loves me because the few people that do watch my YouTube videos or watch like the watch time is crazy. So
well,
so
so you
that's
think
good.
part one, part two, like do it that way?
I could do that. Yeah, I could do that. That would
And,
also help because I'm trying to post one video a day to help the algorithm.
well,
But let me go to the
I'm
next
gonna give you a
guest.
box. I'm gonna open a box and try
Hmm.
to stop through again. Thank you for having me up. Y'all have a good evening.
All right,
Keep
sister.
on
Thank you.
educating. All
All
right.
right, peace. And I'll go to the next guest. Is it Ehia spam? I'm not sure. E
It's
spam.
me, but I've been here for so long. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So basically, I have to give my age, race,
Yeah.
or
Age, race, pronouns.
okay. So I'm 18. Oh, 19. I'm sorry. My race, I'm black. Um, and my pronouns she, her.
All right. Thank you. And go ahead. What brings you up?
So yeah, my dad is white and my mom is black. And like when I came to this live first, I thought, oh my God, not like the biracial um debate. It's not, I know it's not a debate, but that's what I thought when I saw it. And I'm sorry
Mhm.
if I don't use the right words because English not my first language, sorry. So
Okay, that's fine.
yeah, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna stay and maybe you know what, like I'm gonna like try to educate myself, and it really worked. Like I feel actually I was listening. At first I was judgmental. I was like, no. And hearing like your arguments and like I don't know if it's argument. No, it's hearing what you're saying basically, and like
Mhm.
everything you're saying, I kind of understand where you're coming from and like what you were trying to say. And I also want to tell my experience. Like when I was living in France, nobody really like how can I say that? Put me in a case, like put me in a box, like told me, oh, you're white, you're black. And ever since I've been in this international school slash international, honestly, it's like mostly white people. It's like I have never been treated like so. I don't even know how to like. It makes me even want to cry because in France it's like there's a lot of black people, you know. So I
Yeah.
was really treated like very differently from others or something. They weren't really trying to make me feel bad about myself. But being in this school with like international students that are all white, honestly, like it's not even international. I'm the only black person here. And they
Mm.
treat me so wrong. Like they just every day. First when I came, I'm someone that smiles a lot. I don't know, like I look very nice, you know, very approachable. But they
Mhm.
told me, "Oh, you just look mean. You have a resting face. You know." And I just know it's racially motivated. I just know that.
Yeah.
So that made me even identify as black even more than I used to because I didn't really put myself in a box back then. But now it really in my head, like in my heart, everywhere I'm just black because the way it's also the way people see you, you know? It's also
Mhm.
because like I know there's a girl that came into life before, a woman, sorry, and she told everyone, "Oh, I'm black, this and that." She didn't really look black, but that's not what's important. It's like she was trying to prove that she was black, and in my head, when I was listening to her, I was like, you don't have to prove that you're black if you feel black. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
No. So
Well, yeah, you don't have to prove that you're black to anybody, you know.
yeah,
And it is about how you identify yourself, not what other people identify you as. But um, it is a social construct, and that's where it's not really as subjective. It's a social construct, not a individual construct. So in society, it exists. Um, we can't go based off what other people think of us because they are not all of society. They're one person. For example, here on my live, I've had people tell me I'm not black. They've told me I'm Asian. I've had African people tell me I'm mixed.
yeah,
And both my parents are black as it gets. So, so you see what I'm saying? So I can't go based off everyone else's opinions. And what black people are supposed to look like because my wife, for example, has a darker complexion than me. Is she blacker than me now? You know, you
yeah,
can't go based off this.
yeah. No,
But
I know what
so
you
you
mean.
know,
Mm.
but definitely when they say things like you have resting face and that you look aggressive or mean or they try
Yeah,
to downplay or take away from your femininity
yeah,
and your womanhood and deny you that. Don't listen to that. That's all from the colonizer. That's the colonizer mindset. That's they're speaking from hatred when they say those things. But shout out to you for you know recognizing that and standing in your blackness regardless. That's a beautiful thing, sister.
oh,
And I do want to commend you. I don't know how old you are. I looked at briefly look at your page, and you look a lot younger than I was when I understood all you understood this, at least on a surface level. But I will recommend that you start using your voice in those white spaces and wherever you can, because that's going to help with those emotions, because that's where your strength is. And you don't have to come, you know, cry to black people about it. We get it. What you should do, and what I recommend people that black biracials do, is when they are in those workspaces. And like I said, I don't know how old you are, if you worked in the corporate world or anything like that, you know, government,
no,
anything like that. When
not.
you are in those spaces, it's very important that when you see any types of racial aggressions, abuses, anything like that, anti-blackness, period, you have to use your voice, especially if you are the only one there. If you're the only one there, I'm not saying all, and I'm not saying you, but as someone that's been there, a lot of the times you're a token, and
Yeah,
you need to use that tokenism, whatever it is, against them. You need to bring it to their attention. There's consequences. You know, they bully, they retaliate, but understand that is a very important part of being in where we are. You understand what I'm saying? When you are allowed in those spaces and be out of tokenism and whatever, you have to go and dismantle that, be that person if you are that one person in those spaces. Does that make sense? And you have to learn how to do that. You know,
yeah,
I wouldn't suggest you go in there and start filing complaints and stuff like that. You have to learn how to do that.
mm,
And that's one thing I'll say that has helped my mental health, is using my voice
Mm.
against those systems, and whenever I can. So
yeah. Can I say? So,
Go ahead.
I don't really know what tokenism means, but I'm gonna look it up on internet. But I kind of understood what you said. Like, I need to speak up in, like, when I live those type of situations, but I need to speak up to white people. That, I think that's what I understood.
Yeah,
And
tokenism is when white people, like for example, if they're supposed to have a certain amount of black people working in their company, you know, the because of the rules, um, they'll hire you and act like just hiring you makes them not racist, makes
oh, okay, yeah, I
you see
know
what
it.
I'm saying? Or I have black friends, you
Yeah, yeah,
know.
yeah. I completely, yeah, I know what it means. Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you for letting me go up on the live, and yeah, hope you have
All
a
right.
nice day.
You too, sister. Thank you for coming up. All right, y'all. Thank you for the live. Today was an interesting live. If anybody else wants to come up, we'll take a few more people. Keep tapping like. Let's get to 100K. Really appreciate you protecting the live. Also, send gifts. Let the algorithm know that you're gaining value from the live. I got my co-hosts here, Diva, Crazy Black Librarian, and Rashad. We up here chilling. If anybody else wants to come up, feel free. We're talking about how biracial is a misnomer for a lot of people as a racial category. Is a description of what your parents are, not you yourself. There's no such thing as a biracial person. If you want to hear it from a frosted female, you can listen to Jane Elliott speak on the subject. I think if you type in Jane Elliott biracial, she did a Red Table Talk with who is that? Who does Red Table Talks? Jada Pinkett. Yeah,
It's
she did a table talk with Jada Pinkett, where she broke it down about biracial is not a race. And then if you also want to know more, you can look up the work of Dr. Frances Cress Welsing, or you can type hypodescent Harvard into Google, and there's an article there from Harvard. Or you could join the link in my bio. There's many ways that we can teach you all about this other than sitting up here on this live. This is why it's a discussion, not a debate, and we could talk about it some more. Kata, could you give us your age, race, and pronouns?
It's actually Coda. I'm black, white, and native, and I'm in my 20s.
Can't be three things. So, do you have a black leg, a white leg, and a native face, or like how does it work?
So, for me, I'm just on here to get education because I'm obviously biracial, and I grew up in foster care and white families, if that makes sense. So I've never
I'm
really
sorry to
been
hear that.
I've never really been taught how to, be what I'm supposed to be. I grew up with the mentality of you're white, but I'm not really, white passing. So it wasn't never really, it always confused me growing up, if that made sense.
I'm sorry to hear that. Wow. So no one ever told you, and you never knew.
So white
Sounds like
people
you've
told
got.
you you were white?
Not like directly, but they definitely did not teach me how to be black, if that's a thing, if that's the right way to word it. Like, I've always been taught, just listen how I speak. Like, I've always been taught to be white, not to be anything other than that.
What were the lessons?
Like, I'm in my 20s. I still don't know how to properly take care of my hair. I don't just have straight hair. I've never been taught how to take care of my hair.
So white people didn't teach you how to take care of your hair?
Like, just for like an example. I mean, there's a lot of, I don't really know how to word it the right way.
If you don't mind me asking, do you know your biological parents, or if is that too personal?
I know my biological parents.
What
I
are
can give them
their races? Are they black and white, or are you
that.
getting your race
Yeah,
identity from your foster parents?
yeah. My biological parents. My dad is black. He's full black, and my mom is white. And my adopted
That's
family
all I needed.
are
I'm
all
listening.
white.
There's no such thing as full black. To be black is to be mixed. If you are mixed and you have a black parent, you're black.
Huh?
There's no such thing as full black. To be black is to be mixed. Because most black people, even black people on the continent, are mixed. So with other kinds of black, your favorite, could you mute, please? We're talking to Coda right now. Thank you.
Yeah, I
So
apologize. I'm just really
Africa
uneducated.
is the most genetically diverse continent on Earth. A European in London is more genetically related to a Japanese person all the way in Asia than a East African is to a West African. If you look at the similarities in the DNA of an East African and a West African, they are more varied than a white man is to an Asian man. So, again, to be black is to be mixed. Whiteness cannot be mixed. That's why they call us people of color, because they are people without color. So, if you have a color in you, you are not a person without color. You are a person of color. Which person of color would depend on your proximity to blackness. You having a black parent means that you're a black person, because blackness is what the racial social construct was meant to exclude. So if you have part of what was meant to be excluded, then you are that part. That's how race works as a social construct. Now, am I talking about your uh, biology? No, because race and biology don't mix. Am I talking about your culture? No, because race and culture are not mutually exclusive. But when we're talking about race and how it exists as an oppressive social construct, having a black parent makes you a black person, even if you're mixed.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
All right.
Just like for me or whatnot, like um I never really was taught any cultural things. I was never taught stuff like that. Like in the foster care system and my personal experience and stuff, I never really was taught, what does it mean to be black? I never have been taught anything. I would be what would be considered maybe whitewashed, maybe is what I've been called, because I'm just so uneducated. And the only place I can find education is through like social media like this, if that makes sense.
So I'm going to say just two things. That the system that you were in, I sincerely apologize. And what I've seen other children, biracial especially, go through was not just whitewashing, but they were racially abused by a lot of their foster parents and the system. And it's a horrible experience to grow to experience to grow up in. But I'm going to advise you, if you like social media, reach out to transracial adoptees and black children who are in foster. There's one out there and I cannot think of his name right now, but you may not, you may not have been adopted as a baby and you may have a connection with your parents, but I recommend you listen to their stories and their experience since you like social media. I also recommend that you maybe Google some articles about exactly what you're talking about, because there's a lot that happened to you that you may not realize was traumatic, because it was so normal. It was so normal that you just, it was like, okay, it is what it is. But you have to, I
So
would suggest you listen to other people's stories.
hold on. Crazy Black. Let me. I want to give you pushback on what you just said.
Wait, hold
Okay,
on. Who's
okay.
talking?
This speak, but I
Okay, go
want to
ahead,
give her
Speed.
pushback. Yeah. Coda, how old are you now? If you go remind me,
I'm 25.
you 25. You've aged out of the foster care system, correct?
Oh yes. Oh yes.
Crazy. His librarian. I'm gonna call you that. I don't agree with what you just said. To have this young man go back into his trauma by looking at all of this old information that he outgrew. He's no longer in the system. There's no need for this young man to go backwards. He should be
No,
moving
you're right.
forwards.
No, I'm
Hold on.
sorry.
And I'm
I
telling you that for a reason. I did social work, youth development, foster care, and all this for 12 years. This man is at an age where he's moving forward. What he needs to be looking for in terms of growth is new information, not going back into history or the foster care system at all. Any new information he should be receiving by way of whatever he's learning, documentaries, all that should be forward ahead. So if y'all want to give him resources of things, for example, anything black related, give him that. Do not tell this young man to go back and look at case studies or success stories of anything in the foster care. That can
No, and you're
re-traumatize
100%.
this young man, and I'm saying that for a reason.
No,
Do
and you're
not advise.
right.
That's just I'm saying that in my professional opinion. I don't recommend that.
Uh,
I'm telling this young man to go backwards. He should be
Yeah,
going forwards.
I
Hidden
have
Figures,
something.
I
I
think,
have
is the
something to
I
situation. Hold
say.
on. Tariq Nasheed. I know a lot of people don't like that man, so he can open up his mind. Excuse me, so that he can learn new things, not going backwards. If he went to therapy, and Coda, you don't need to answer this up here because that's personal. If you've gone to therapy to deal with your experience in foster care, it is what it is. If you haven't, go to therapy because there's things, yes, I agree with that you might need to work on in terms of your trauma, but do not go backwards. Young man, go forwards. There's
Going
shit
back
you
to
have to
heal from
learn,
your inner
and there's
child isn't
things,
going
excuse
back.
me, sorry, hold on, I'm gonna let you speak. There's things that he needs to get in place to go forward, if that makes sense. Do
Not
not go
Tariq
backwards.
Nasheed.
Because whatever her recommendation, yeah, I know, bro. I know, bro. Whatever recommendation she gave, I don't agree with that. That's just me. My professional opinion. When I dealt with young people aging out of foster care, they were forward thinking. They're going towards getting an apartment, going to secure their career, going into trade schools and things like that, going forward, not going backwards. Because some of these people, for example, and I'm going to land here because I don't want to speak too much, they don't rekindle their relationship with their parents. I don't know this brother's situation. I don't need to know any of that, but go forward. Anything you coming up here to learn is for you to go forward. Or leave the foster care system and your experience behind you, is what I'm trying to say. Leave it behind you. Do not go backwards, man. Unless it's an important reason why you're gonna go backwards. I get it, but do not go backwards. Go forward. Because you're a parent, I see, and I'm looking at your stuff by way of your profile. Go forward, bro. And I'm gonna shut the hell up because I just didn't agree with what you were saying. Go forward, and I'm gonna shut the hell up.
May I
yeah, I
please
agree
speak?
with what you said. You're 100% right. I stand
May I please speak?
100%. I stand 100% corrected, and I do apologize for that perspective, an uneducated perspective. I was speaking really on what I had learned, and I was not a part of that system, and I 100% misspoke. So I apologize, Coda,
I
and
was.
speak your truth. I think that you are 150% obviously more experienced, educated, and aware of what goes on in those systems. But I 100% apologize and retract any advice, recommendation I said.
Can I say something?
No, it's not your turn to talk. Coda wasn't done.
Oh, I
Because
apologize. I
crazy
was.
librarian was talking to him, but I just wanted to step in and give her pushback on where she was about to go. Because I'm an advocate and I did that work for a while and I understand
I'm an
trauma,
overcomer of the systems. I was
re-traumatizing
told.
yourself, basically.
I
Kelly,
was. I
hold
was
on.
sold
I
by
got you. Nope, nope,
two
nope,
Wait,
nope,
pedophiles.
hold
nope, nope,
on,
nope.
hold on, Kelly.
Coda
Yeah.
is not done. He hasn't gone through the questions and he was still talking about his situation. And we have to give them the opportunity to get through his it's his turn to talk, basically. So Kelly, you gotta mute and you gotta give it a second.
Amen.
All right. So yeah, as far as reconnecting with African culture, I would encourage you to do that. There's a lot of don't go to Tariq Nasheed. Only reason I say that is because even though Hidden Colors is a good movie for learning about your
Docu-series,
history,
yeah. Certain
but
things.
I
For
don't know
certain
about
things, yeah.
yeah. Like for me, Hidden Colors one could teach you a lot. I didn't go beyond that, but Tariq Nasheed he comes with a certain brand of nonsense. I would say
But brother, it's the people that's in the docu-series is it's not even
right,
about
yeah,
him.
because
It's the people that are
even
in this
someone that
docu-series, yeah.
yeah,
The
even
people he interviewed and then just some of the information. It's mind opening
yeah,
for some people who never understand none of this
I
shit.
know, yeah,
But I'm gonna let you give your thoughts on him, brother, because I
I
know a
know,
lot of people got certain things to say about him. But it's the
yeah,
people that he interviewed to be on the you know, the 5-part, what have you,
Yeah.
because they're historians and all that. Some of them are in different spaces in terms of, you know, let me say African history, if I could put it that way. There's some
Yeah.
people who I look at it and I think, okay, this brother's a professor. This person has, you know, this history in this place and that place. But it's not just about Tariq Nasheed. That's the
Right.
only recommendation I give. But
Hidden
you're more
colors.
knowledgeable than me, and I'm gonna shut the fuck up
Hidden
because you
colors
got more
started my
information to
journey.
give to speak life into this brother. So let me shut the hell up.
Yeah. I would say to start your journey, Coda, it depends on how deep you are, but I would go to John Henrik Clark first, or if you really want to learn about yourself, even your biracial identity, there's a book called The Destruction of Black Civilization by Dr. Chancellor Williams. The Destruction of Black Civilization by Dr. Chancellor Williams is a great start if you want to do an actual search into your history as a black man. But you would have to do this work yourself because obviously it sounds like you're not from an environment where you're going to learn naturally. So I wish you the best. Did you have anything else you wanted to say?
No, I did not. Thank you for your time. I learned a lot. I appreciate it.
Yes, sir. And follow the platform. We'll be able to reconvene whatever, you know, if you need some help, got some questions, I'm here. My
Yeah,
page
I've been.
exists to help
I'm
people
sorry.
re-Africanize and learn more about our true history. I'm on that journey myself, me, my wife, and I host another platform off of this app, a nonprofit organization where we are doing all this work together, unpacking it together. It's an incredible journey. But thanks for coming up, Coda.
Yeah, thank you. And I've been following y'all for a while now, so thank you for having me.
Okay. All right, great. I'll follow you as well. Peace.
All right, y'all have a good day now.
One love.
Definitely come back, and no offense, but I had to shut that. I had to jump in what
You good,
Liberian was
Speed. Come
saying.
on, man. Let it go. Let it go. You
No, no,
good.
no.
You
I'm
got it.
just saying because some people, you know, they get triggered by certain things, and we don't
Nah,
see
she ain't
motherfuckers
triggered,
up here
man. She'll let
crying.
you know.
But it's all good. I was talking to him though, but yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I
No, we
was talking
good.
to him. I ain't worried
We
about.
good.
Listen, fuck that. I was talking to
Yeah.
that man directly. Yeah, but y'all can continue. I'm gonna shut the hell up.
All right.
Y'all get these likes
Hello
up,
and
share the
welcome.
live, tap the screen.
Hello and welcome to Brother Legends Live. You are in Brother Legends Live. Tap that screen, you guys. We want 150. Tap, tap, tap. Get to it. Now go ahead and give Brother because he's been putting up with some stress. These people on this stage have been clowns and pure foolery, but we're here for it. Get on, you guys. Gift the host. Gift the ghost. And get these Panther Claws upon. Y'all have made me wrestle and tussle with these heifers that shouldn't even be talking. But you know what? I'll be here anyway. Tap that screen, you guys. Welcome to Brother Legends Live.
Thank you, D.
So y'all gift the diva, man. She be playing. Gift her. That's the co-host. She be playing, man. Gift that woman. Gift this black woman. God damn it.
Thank you, D and Speak. I'm gonna go to the next guest. Kelly, give us your age, race, and pronouns, please.
I'm Kelly. I'm 45. I am black. I'm a black woman. She, her pronouns.
Thank you, Kelly. And go ahead, give us your thoughts.
So I apologize for interrupting. I don't usually join lives and I didn't know what the rules were or what the protocol was. So I do apologize. Um, I just could identify with Coda. And what's your name? Speak. When you did like jump in, um, I kind of disagreed with what you were saying because I am an overcomer and a survivor of these systems as a black woman. I was actually sold to two abusers. Um, and the white woman who raised me definitely whitewashed. She actually adopted and fostered black and brown children to specifically abuse. She had an agenda. And she was married to a black man who hated the skin he was in, right? So
Mm.
it was very confusing growing up in a household like that, where the only face I saw that looked like me didn't like black people, really, because he didn't like his own skin.
Mm-hmm.
And I went through 40 years of trauma because of that. And it wasn't because of that, it was because of unaddressed childhood trauma. The racism and the microaggressions that I grew up around constantly is just additive trauma that I had to unpack. And it wasn't until 2019 till I got my memory back, confronted the abusers, took my power back, found all the other foster kids that they really messed up, all these men who are black men now, you know, using drugs to cope, homeless or unhoused because of the trauma they endured in that house. We've all had to go back into our childhood to rescue our inner child, right? To unpack all of that, what we were programmed to believe. You know, as children, we're programmed to trust the people who are raising us, right? And to have your world find out that you're just, you know, you're filled with lies. My biological DNA makeup, I did do the 23andMe,
I,
found out that my
I'm
mother,
sorry,
my
Kelly.
biological,
Sorry to
yes,
cut you off, but I want to
yeah,
say this.
yes,
Can you um get to the point where you get to the topics? Because I feel like
yeah.
the reason I did that to interject crazy librarian was for this man not to get too far into his personal story. And
Amen.
let's be
Yeah.
mindful of the space we're in and what you're saying can affect somebody in the wrong way. So I get what you're saying and why you're saying it.
I wrote a
But if you
book
could
and I
come
actually
back and get back
started.
to, yeah, the topics on the green screen. You could disagree with me, but I'm not going to go back and forth with you about what you disagreed about. But
No,
please
I'm
get
not
to the
disagreeing.
topics on the green screen. Yeah, we don't need respectfully everything like your backstory is not necessary. That's just my opinion. But if you could get
Kind
to the
of
green
necessary
screen, it could keep the
because what
live
I had
going
to
in
do
terms
to
of the
find
topic.
it's kind of necessary because what I had to do to find my identity, right? And because I was um whitewashed and my color of my skin is dark. I my biological mom is white and my biological father is black, lives in Mississippi. I did the 23andMe. So I went through these systems treated as a black woman, right? These oppressive systems. I actually wrote a book about it. It's very confusing. And to get to the green screen, biracial isn't a race, um, ethnicity. I agree with you, and I was just adding to the discussion with my truth and testimony, because that's what you wrote up here. It's not a debate; it's a conversation. So I was just coming up here because I heard somebody else speak. I'm an overcomer and survivor of this. I this is who I am, biracial makeup or whatever they call it. The doctor's office is hit. I don't check a box because I am a black woman. I understand that mixed races that you are black, right? I understand that. I'm in agreement with you. I'm not disagreeing with you at all by any means. I just said I disagreed with one thing Speak said about going back into your trauma, right? Can't heal from what hurts you if you don't, you know, heal from what hurts you. That's all. But I'm just adding the discussion as an experienced person, as an overcomer and survivor, right, of multi-race. What they tell me I'm multi-race, they tell me I'm mulatto, they tell me I'm mixed race. I know who I am. I know who I am because of the 45 years of experience living in this country as a
Who tells
black
you
woman.
that?
Who told me what?
Who called you mulatto?
Oh my gosh. Let's see. The woman who raised me first told me I was mulatto, right? Um, yeah. I've been called Oreo cookie, mixed breed. I've dealt with racism and microaggressions on every level my whole life, you know. So,
So,
yeah, I was just coming on here in agreement and adding to the discussion because I've been through it. I've been through
so
the
white
fire.
people told you that?
Oh, absolutely. Like I said, I was adopted, actually purchased by a white woman, right? Whose agenda, and that's why I did share my backstory, because her agenda was to, like that man said, whitewash black and brown children. And it set them up for years of trauma to unpack
I
because
don't like the
these
term
people are,
whitewash, but I hear you.
well,
Whitewash means that we're cleansing ourselves. I would say it's more like soiled with whiteness than washing. You know what I'm saying?
Whatever words we choose to use, I think we know what it really means. And that's exactly what she did. Right. And that was her, she just died last year of ovarian cancer, but that's exactly what she did. And the black and brown children that she impacted and affected is just mind boggling. But anyways, I really did come up here in agreement with you. I just wanted to share my experience, strength, and hope. Right. I had to do my own finding. I went to college. I took Black American studies. I did my own research. I had to do trainings in Tennessee and things like that because the curriculum that we're taught in history, you can't find our history in there. You can't, and if you're raised by somebody who doesn't talk about your history, it's a done deal. We're responsible to do our own research, right? And I'm in agreement with that as well. So I did write
Absolutely.
a, yeah, and
I
I did
come
write
from
a
a
book. I talk about,
monoracial makeup, if that's the word you want to use. I don't like the word monoracial.
yeah.
But if you want to say that, I come from a monoracial family. They did teach me about my history during Black History Month in church, things like that. But they didn't teach me at the level that I needed to know because they were Christian. So,
Mhm.
you know,
Yeah.
there's always that. Even it's just part of the Black experience is not knowing your history. That's
Yeah.
why they renamed us a color instead of
Yeah.
calling us Africans, because Africans have more history on this planet than anyone else. And
Hmm.
they had to remove us from that in order to subjugate us and tell us we were inferior. Um,
Absolutely.
so yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah. Thanks for
Absolutely.
sharing your story.
Yeah, absolutely. And I appreciate you for giving me a safe space to do so. It's not easy to do, right? To come up into a room, and have to share the backstory so you understand where I stand today. But I appreciate you for holding this space. It's much needed.
All right. Well, thanks for
All right.
coming up.
Yeah,
All right.
thank you.
And I'll go to the next guest. Everybody, don't forget to tap like, tap like. Appreciate everybody that's been tuning in, chiming in. It is interesting to hear all of the magnificent stories about people that have had to um, come to an understanding or a crossroads at some point where they had to either choose anti-blackness or identifying with their Black or African roots. And I just think it's important that other biracial brothers and sisters get that and get to hear some of that, because then they can understand that that's the journey that they would have to embark on as well. Timothy, could you give us your age,
Man,
race, and pronouns?
Timothy, hold on a second before you go. Shout out
Sure,
to
no problem.
the woman that was up here when I came on the panel. Uh, Catch Me Outside's Asian cousin who said she was black. The Catch Me Outside girl's Asian cousin. I came in here, my mind was blown. It was 600 people in here. She kept saying she's black, but based off her features and what she was saying, my brain was hurting. I went to her profile. She has some interesting features, but I can see physically certain things going on. But damn, she said she was a black woman. Shout out to Rachel Dolezal. Go ahead, Timothy.
Oh, sure, no problem. What's going on, guys?
Go ahead, Timothy.
Sure, are you able to hear me okay?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So, my name is Timothy. I am 31 years old. And, of course, I definitely do identify as a Black African man. And my background essentially is that, well, my father's of European ancestry and my mother is an African American woman. And so, essentially, growing up, there wasn't really a huge push for researching Black African history, Black African historical content. But as I became older, I began to dive deeper into our history and our people. And definitely, I would say that, growing up within a predominantly black community very much so helped me out. That's why I'm joining the live and also started my own organization, essentially, where I try to share Black African historical information and content. And but yeah, from there, there definitely was no time where I wasn't reminded that I was a person of African ancestry in the neighborhood that I grew up in, from police interactions to majority of my friends being of African ancestry and them asking me to essentially have conversations with law enforcement to essentially like use my whiteness as a tool to be able to kind of de-escalate the situation, which I had no problem in doing. But yeah, I would say that that was more so my first introduction to realizing that there were clear differences between myself, people of African ancestry. Well, yeah, myself, people that claim to be, biracial. But yeah, there's always been a firm understanding, however, though, in my household, predominantly by my mother and predominantly by my mother's side of the family, that I was a black man. And so that I very much do so like appreciate. But yeah, one other thing I did kind of recognize is that unfortunately there is a lot of kind of deep psychological undertones that I needed to unpack, and I'm still, of course, in the process of unpacking. But psychological undertones in the sense of like my father would say certain things that I would kind of have to, let him know and correct him on. And a lot of the issues that I'm seeing in nowadays time frame is that there's a lot of, or at least there's increasing numbers of interracial marriage, and that's also kind of why I like fundamentally disagree with it, because the dynamic that I grew up in, well, based off of the data, I got lucky with having a father that I do and having a mother that I do. When in the vast majority of cases, it's unfortunate that, the majority of people of European ancestry don't see black people as human beings, even though they may engage in romantic relationships. That doesn't necessarily mean that they actually see them as human. And yeah,
that's right.
Right. Yeah, I just wanted to, hop on the live and definitely provide my 2 cents, more so from a perspective of a person who unapologetically identifies with his Black African identity. And yeah, just kind of encourage people to read the books that they tell you not to read and dive into the history and celebrate your Africanity.
Thank you for that. What book helped you?
Well, the book that I started
Early
off
on.
reading early on, okay. One of the main books that I read that showed me clear links between what happens today and what has happened historically in America was the classic slave narratives by Henry Louis Gates Jr. And
Okay.
that's a culmination of a couple different stories. It's Frederick Douglass's autobiography, Harriet Jacobs' autobiography, and I forget the other. I believe there's two other autobiography or one other autobiography that's included in that. But once I read that all the way through, it gave me a clear understanding of, or at least the beginning stages of a clear understanding of what similarities are happening today versus what has happened back then. And even with Frederick Douglass, his father is believed to be his enslaver. And he described how his own father, like his first experience with realizing the trauma and devastation that slavery enacted on our people, um, pretty much, well, essentially, like due to him seeing his own aunt being beaten because she entertained the um, romantic advances of a African man, an enslaved African man on a different plantation, and because the enslaver, his father, wanted her for himself, he yeah, he beat her within an inch of her life. And Frederick Douglass was in the room hiding, watching all this happen. And Yeah, so just from there, I began to more so identify with the different dynamics of what's currently happening, and I began to dive deeper into it. Then eventually went on to read Post Traumatic Slave Syndrome by Dr. Joe DeGruy.
Mm-hmm.
Went on to read even The Pursuit of Happiness showed examples where some of those dynamics were prevalent, with the fact that that Chris Gardner had to face homelessness and just how much people were not willing to help him. And,
Mm-hmm.
Majority of that reading
Yeah,
was
me and my
because,
wife have had talks about that.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's a thing, man. Because a homeless black man ain't getting much help.
Yeah,
The homeless sisters, they might get a little bit more, but they ain't getting much either. But to be broke and black as a man is very dangerous. Very
very.
dangerous. Yeah. But appreciate you. Thank you for sharing that with us, man.
Absolutely, King. Absolutely.
I'm gonna follow you as well.
Thank you. I
And
appreciate it.
go to the next guest. I'm gonna shut it down soon, y'all. Let's keep it going. Where Life Co. Could you give us your age, race, and pronouns, please?
Yes, sir. I'm 63 years old and I'm white, female.
Thank you, Where Life Co. And go ahead, give us your thoughts.
Okay, it's more of a question than a thought. My daughter had a baby with a man from Panamania, and she has red hair, but it's real tight. She has dark skin and red hair, and it's real tight. So my question is Panamanian black?
Panamania doesn't exist.
Okay.
So that's not a real place.
Well, Panama.
Panama is a place. And Panama is a place, not a race.
Okay.
That's the answer.
Okay. That was my only question. It's been very interesting listening. Thank you.
Okay.
Can I speak next, if you do not mind, sir?
Who's that? Oh, I didn't see you down there, Bree. Could you give us your
Wait,
age, race, and pronouns?
wait, what? No, you got to.
All right, go ahead, Bree. Why
Um,
you do that, man? Legend, she's supposed to come up here and say some more shit, bro. Come on, man.
Nah,
Go
man.
ahead, this lady down there,
I
Miss
be trying to
Bree.
keep y'all from turning my show into Jerry Springer. There are times when we gotta check people, but I do want this to be productive. This is more of a scholarly live than what y'all are used to seeing on this app. Entertainment is cool, but I'm hoping
Man,
to
it's Saturday,
actually
man.
help people.
It's Saturday.
I know,
But let me
I
stop
know,
fucking around. I got you,
I
man.
know. Bree, could you give us your age, race, and pronouns?
okay, I'm 31. I'm a black woman and I'm them, they.
Thank you. And go ahead and give us your thoughts.
Okay. I was born to a very racist white woman. My father was very confused person in the way that he definitely felt familial bonds with black men, but then he hated black women. I'm going to say that's mostly due to my grandmother, who was horrible to him and then horrible to me. But the indoctrination into like, oh, I'm mixed. I I'm I I did not know I was more than a 16th black because my mother told me my father was a man who was a quarter black and a quarter Native American, but I knew that was not true, that I was black. Just I was very obsessed at a very young age at the injustices that I saw other black people going through and even myself
being put in white schools and being attacked, punched in the stomach, had my head slammed against a wall, and just nobody doing anything about it and acting like it was normal when the white girls would get, a boy could touch them and it's like, oh, you're suspended. So it was like very like disconnected. I didn't really understand why I was being treated so differently. And then my grandma told me when I was 14 that my dad was full black, that the man that my mom had insisted was my father wasn't, and that in their eyes, obsession with being black and fixing injustice was probably because of that, and um, I that I should seek out going to see him. So I did, and like I said, he was very anti black female but pro black male, and I just didn't really understand that. But I think the most integral thing he ever told me, besides that, he wasn't interested in being a father, was that I should look for my history. And I mean, I had already been super engaged in like Malcolm X and W.E.B. Du Bois, but I extended it further, where learning about Kemet and Nubia, tracking my Zulu blood, like it all became like very important to me. And the more that took hold, the more the white family that tried to indoctrinate me into you're mixed, I became, more and more just an object. I mean, it's not like they treated me well when I was a child. I was the only one that got beaten, and like not in a spanking way and like a choke type of way. I was starved. They would get new clothes and I would be wearing rags. And she had me because at the time she chased black men. Like I just found an album of my mom with all these black men that she dated. I just actually found out that pretty much she died 3 years ago. She overdosed on F. And I didn't know that she had an addiction, because she had a long-standing addiction, but she got addicted to that. And I found out from a black friend of hers that knew somebody that I know in jail, that everybody around us knew that she was addicted except for her children. Um, so just being with somebody like that only really saw black men as somebody to sleep with. I'm not going to even say people, somebody to be attracted to, maybe somebody to make my grandfather mad. I don't really know, but
Okay. All right. Some of us are coming up here sharing some very deeply personal stories. I just want to remind y'all that this is an app built for entertainment.
okay.
You know, I'm not a therapist, and I don't want y'all to, you know, unload this stuff on an app built for entertainment and then not receive the necessary, the empathy necessary for,
Oh, it's
unpacking that.
it's okay. I don't expect anything. I just meant like in the way of like being biracial and, you know, being black, identifying as black, and having a family or having people around you constantly putting you in that mixed box, or telling you how to identify and not accepting you for who you are, or
Yeah.
how you feel. I mean, I'm not expecting any validation or anything. I
No,
was just
not
speaking on my
validation.
experiences.
It's just when we get, we're talking about social constructs. We're not talking about oppression and how we're mistreated. We're really mostly talking about social constructs in
Okay.
society. We don't want to start getting into, I grew up and all this other stuff, because that's very that's there's people maybe listening that could get triggered by some of that, so I don't, that's
Oh,
my
okay.
thing.
Yeah, we're
I
not
So
talking about the impacts of it. We're just talking about the systems itself.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, well then.
But yeah, I would say it sounds like, you had quite a journey, and keep unpacking that, I guess,
I have a
Okay.
yeah.
question that came up because I got a question for her.
Okay.
In the beginning, you said that you was getting physically abused. That's all I'm gonna say. I'm not gonna say like certain words, but you was getting physically abused, and you didn't. I want to understand. I heard this right because I was focused on comments. I was focused on you, what you was saying. I was doing both at the same time. So you said in the process of that happening to you, you were confused as into why it was happening to you, and you realized it was happening to you because you have black in you, or was I just hearing that wrong?
No, it was because I was black with my three younger sisters. They're not considered biracial by my mom. So um I was the only black child that she had, and I was the only one who dealt with those things. Like, I was treated completely different than my siblings or
Okay,
my
because
half
I just
siblings.
wanted to make sure because I was in the comments like, wait, so okay, I was confused because the way it was worded made me think for a second that you were talking about like, oh, since you were treated like that, that's why you identify as you're black because you were treated
Oh
that way.
no.
That's why I was like, oh, hold on, wait, let me come up here and ask her real quick because I was confused. But okay, thank you.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't
I would
frame that
also
as
say
well.
that there's no such thing as being pro black man without being pro black women.
I agree.
So sounds like your dad just might have projected his feelings of his mother onto his black identity, and um, specifically black women, because I'm pretty sure I've been around a lot of black men my whole life. They mistreat black men mistreated me more than anybody else. Well, there was some harmful black women in my life as well, but I was mostly around black men, so yeah, never did I project that onto black men or black women. That was them people. Them people just wasn't it. So you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, definitely. I've never thought like, oh, I'm going to treat another black person, whether male or female, badly because of my parents, because they have nothing to do with them.
Right.
I
So
can't stand that
for your
projection.
father to do that is anti-black. It manifested through his anti-blackness. Misogyny is anti-blackness. Patriarchy is anti-blackness. So
Definitely.
it started as anti-blackness. It manifested itself through those channels, because there's no black man that benefits from subjugating any member of our community. They only oppress, or side with their own oppression against our each other. They're just being harmful to themselves and others at the same time. So
Definitely. One time he told me, I think that this is the last time we actually saw each other, he told me that black men and white women were the true victims of slavery. That white men and black women were basically like in cahoots with each other. And I was just like, for you to say that, you have to literally be insane. And I was like, I just can't
yeah,
be around that type of toxicity towards our people. I hope that you
yeah,
fix,
that's
what's wrong with you, but that's never going to
yeah,
be what's wrong with me.
yeah, that's far off. That is, he's in another world with that one.
Definitely.
I'm
Definitely.
sorry. Yeah, I would
No,
love to
I
speak with
completely
him.
agree.
Yeah, I would love to speak with him, but that is far off of anything a scholar has written or gave a lecture about. So I don't know where he got that one from. But black men and black women were side by side throughout the entire oppression. There was no one above the other. So
Definitely.
yeah,
But yeah, I would just say I don't believe in interracial or mixed. I think they're just words. I'm a black person. If you don't, I guess if you don't feel like a black person, if you don't feel part of the community or like that's your calling, then you can associate with whatever you want to. But at the end of the day, like I've never felt like a mixed means anything. If that, because people were saying about the topic, if that's more on topic, like I
Yeah, it's
definitely
just
agree with
a
that.
yeah, it's just a description. It's a distinction. You know, when we're having conversations about race, you can say, you know, I'm a black person. I'm also, you know, I'm mixed. Like you're letting us know, you know, I'm a mixed black person. I'm a biracial black person. You know, that lets us know that your race is black. You know that your race is black, and then you also are describing, you know, what you know the context is of how you got here. But for some people, because of their anti-blackness, they've decided to make mixed their entire identity and just erase out the black part. Just I'm mixed. And so the reason that's problematic is because those people that harbor that much anti-blackness tend to be some of now this is historically accurate. Mixed brothers and sisters historically have been some of the most harmful people to our community. They've sold us out, uh, especially when you look at Haiti. My goodness, Haiti and Angola, the history of Haiti and Angola. Yeah, so that's they've actually fought us, invaded us, their own brothers and sisters, because the white T man told them they were something else because he had, you know, did something to their mother. And so that's just funny to me because it's like they buy the lie. You know, race was invented by Europeans. Race is a problem. You know, it's not a solution to anything. It's a problem. And in order to solve that problem, it's like, you know, the Marshmallow Men have made a rule where it's like, well, you know, if you want to fix the problem, you got to have sex with me. You know, and then now, you know, you've got little piece of me in you, and that makes you better than black people. And some of us have bought that. And I think it's important that we stop doing that and come together because throughout history, there's always been biracial brothers and sisters. You know, it's always been a thing. All right, y'all. Well, this was a live. D, what's good? I seen you unmute.
Holy Spirit, activate. I don't know. I was listening. I was working while I was, so I was tuning in and out a little bit. But I always find it interesting how people see themselves in society, right? So it's very interesting that we could think of the traumas of particular parts or particular family members that kind of make us either relate or distance ourselves from who we are. But when it comes to our Black biracial family members, some of our family members get it and some of us don't, and it's so
Yeah.
weird. But I'm gonna say it again. That girl earlier was a Cardi B.
Are you talking about the age? Y'all can't get off of her. You know, there's a reason
I
Rachel
know.
Dolezal was the
She
head
was
of the
making me laugh.
NAACP, right? You
Yep.
know the reason Rachel Dolezal was the head of the NAACP, even though she was a monoracial white woman? Because we come in all colors, shapes, and sizes, and
We do.
that black people know that. So you, even if you are phenotypically presented as white, that's not going to exclude you from us. And that's another reason why the black community will treat you as black until you show anti-blackness.
Exactly.
But that girl that came up here, she said she came out of a black woman. So that's what kind of made me like freeze up. I'm kind of like I can't tell somebody they didn't come out of a black woman
Exactly.
unless somebody can pull up a picture of her mother. She said she came out of a black woman. Now, does she have a lot of
Her mom
colorism
was
and
black and Asian.
anti-blackness and work to do? Then she got to do that work.
No, I
But
think her dad was Asian. She said her mom was black.
yeah,
But it was funny. It made me think, and it made me think of Tamara. So, as a black community, right? This is the dangerous thing about someone like her. So she's married to a YT man. I don't know if you looked at her page.
Yeah, I
When
seen it
she,
in the comments, so that let me know what was going on in here.
when she
You know.
has children, and you heard her
hmm
say that one drop rule, now you're putting what on the black community?
mm
That's very
Yeah.
dangerous.
She's gonna have children that are more white presenting, and she's gonna raise them with that whiteness. And but she's gonna say, but guess what? You know, that's what I've
Mm.
seen. And I
Have
also
you
want to
seen
speak.
that?
Oh my gosh, yes. Oh, all the
So you've
time when I was
seen
growing
you've
up.
seen phenotypically white presenting people come from two white presenting parents tell you that they're black?
Yes, and take over
Mm.
black, speak for
Yes,
black.
but when convenient,
Very.
I've never seen that. Oh,
when
when
convenient.
convenient, I've seen
Yeah,
that.
yeah. So
I've seen that.
they won't like when I
hmm
worked with one, and again, I only speak on experience.
But
So and I
remember
don't.
this. I want to remind y'all the third question of the diaspora game. Do you identify full time as black or
Yep,
African?
yep.
So identifying full time is the thing. And we can tell. And that's why I was asking her. The full time part means, do you actively participate in black culture? To me, marrying a white man, coming up here talking with your professional voice, um, that's not black culture. I didn't hear black culture.
Well, and
So
what about the one
yeah.
that I think she was the first one who said she was indigenous and white. That's what she said. And so she said, would tell white people, well, I'm just white. Like, you
hmm
know what I'm saying? That you're rejecting yourself. You can't keep rejecting yourself and not have some confusion. So someone had said, if that's what you want to claim, that culture, keep it over there. That's my advice. Keep it over there. Don't come poisoning these spaces with that whiteness, trying to defend, you know, the internalized racism that you carry into these spaces. Deal with your own stuff with those people. And that's the other thing. Don't cry because someone, today, yes, my feelings get a little hurt sometimes when some people come and tell me you're mixed, you're mixed, you're mixed. But you know what? So what? So what?
hmm
If you know who you are, that's not going to matter. And if it does matter, then you're confused and you really need to do some deconstructing in within yourself. And wait until you do that before you come in here with certain things.
Yeah. I mean, and that's the thing. So with that being said, yeah, like if you're not participating in our culture enough, if you got to be black on the inside. And that's the thing. Even some monoracial black people are not uh they don't got it on the inside. You know what I'm saying? So, when it comes to marrying, who you want to marry and all that other stuff, and if you don't, sound like Beyonce when I close my eyes and I listen to you talk, then I'm going to think that you don't got what it takes. You know what I'm saying? Um, and so that was just me. And then I liked when you were able to point it out too, that why are you up here in front of black people trying to prove that you're black? Doing it full time means when you get when you means when it's inconvenient, you're still black. And I don't think her children are going to do that when it's inconvenient. I think when they get pulled over, they're going to yes sir, no sir, a lot quicker than us. But it is what it is. um
Legend, can I say something before you end the
yeah.
live?
Mhm.
Listen, black people, love your blackness. Ladies, please don't do yourself a disservice and become Cynthia G. Love yourself. Get you a black man. Fellas, do not become another Kanye West or a Terrell Owens. Stay away from thin Libyans or you will destroy yourself. Get yourself a black woman. Believe in black love. Believe in the nuclear black family. These confused black people are part of the problem in the community. We have to believe in ourselves and love ourselves. Stay away from napkins.
And
That's
speak.
all I got.
Give your
That's
sisters
what my
grace.
commercial break. That's just
Give
the
your
commercial break right there. I had to say that.
speak.
Please.
Give your sisters grace when they make a mistake, especially if they can own it.
Nah, nope. I ain't got no. I don't have none of that. Hell no.
What's what? What
Yeah.
you mean, Grace? What you talking about, D?
Oh, he just kept going on about the situation with crazy Liberian. So I was like, she apologized. Give her grace. Let it go.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
but I
I'm
just
not an
wanted to
expert in
talk
that
to
area. That's
homie,
why I got
well, the
quiet.
young
I
guy,
can't
yeah,
talk
because
on
the
that.
foster care stuff. So
Yeah, I can't
I
talk on
noticed
that.
that when people got those stories, it's hard because the trauma and shit and
Brother,
stuff. I gotta stop cursing up here. But yeah, that's all that was. It was nothing
Yeah,
towards
nah.
her. It was to
Today,
him. I was talking directly to him the whole
to be
time.
honest,
Yeah.
today got too deep. It got too damn deep, bro. That's what kind of like I'm like, yo, what the hell? It turned
Your
into
paycheck
like,
was gonna come through.
yeah, it turned into
Cause
like a
I was thinking,
trauma
for a
dumping
second, I thought this
session.
was a therapist platform. Now I was like, oh
You
wait,
feel
what?
me? Like, yo, like I'm not that guy. Like I'm not Dr. Umar. At least he's a clinical therapist. Like I'm not him. Like I'm just up here talking about books I've read and like, what I'm saying. I got a little nonprofit, and I'm just trying to just teach a little bit, but I can't help y'all. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, this sounds crazy. Like, I'm just talking about race as a social construct. Y'all getting all psychological with me. I can't do it. And I don't want to steer them wrong. You tell somebody they not this, or tell them about their identity. Next thing you know, you see them unalive themselves on the news. I'm gonna feel like I don't want the feds come knocking on my door because of something I told somebody on this live. Like I'm like, yo, we going too deep. I gotta let y'all know I'm not a therapist.
well, you know what I always say? It never hurts to get in the tub, wash up, clean around them little areas that y'all know be funky, and make sure that you get a rag and some soap. Don't negate or neglect your body. Y'all need it. And don't do that once a week. It should be an everyday thing. Hop in that water, damn it.
That's right. Well, I appreciate y'all. I'm gonna go watch a movie with my wife before she falls asleep. Thank y'all for joining me,
Y'all be
D.
easy.
Speak. Yes, sir.
Hmm.
One love to you, man. Appreciate you coming up. Crazy Black Librarian, Molly, Leisha, lovely Rose Petals, Christian. I appreciate y'all. Francesca, thank you. And for sending Panther Paws as well. Today was cool, man. Tomorrow I'm gonna try to make a video, man. I don't make enough content. I don't make enough content on this platform. If y'all want to help me make content, please send me videos to respond to.
Oh, you don't be checking them.
You do?
Yeah, you didn't see the video I sent you of the sister that was dating the YT guy, and he went on a whole family vacation. And she was like, "Why was everybody else there with their girlfriends and you didn't bring me?" And he said, "My family and I are not racist or anything. Go check your inbox."
Oh no, I gotta check. Yeah, that sounds crazy. Okay, yeah, because I don't make enough content, and I got to do that because everybody don't catch my lives. And then yeah, so I'll do that tomorrow. I'll try to put in another video. And I already made a video about Palestine, man. If y'all want, I could do another live on it. I didn't want to censor that. I'm disappointed in some of my pro-black content creators that are censoring goddamn Palestine all over their stuff. When asked, of course I'm siding against colonialism when asked, but we're not about to make that our whole platform now. You know what I'm saying? We're not about to come up here and do all that. Like when asked, yeah,
My heart
I'm
just
definitely, what I'm saying, anti-colonialism. But we're not about to, for 2 weeks straight, come up here talk about Palestine. I want to remind y'all that the Palestinians are racist too. I want to remind y'all that before they were called Palestine, the Ottoman Empire held our ancestors as slaves. Look up the Zanj slave trade, ZANJ, and the East African slave trade as well. They were Ottomans, and they held us in bondage. If you want to know more, you can look up. What else? What else is there? Oh yeah. What is the name of that town? Al Abid. Alabid or something like that. So the name of the town is slaves, like the slaves or something, and it's like where they keep all the black people in Palestine.
Check and
They
see if
all
I sent you the video where the girl says that. Like she's talking about them being
yeah, I made a response to one of them, but yeah, so that's a whole other thing. Somebody said being anti-Palestine is being anti-black. I think we need to keep our race, our people out of that. When we talking about geopolitics, understand it's heavily nuanced. Being pro-Palestine is being anti-colonialist, and that is great because colonialism plays a big part in our oppression as black people. However, we have a greater humanitarian crisis going on in the Sudan right now, which has displaced 5 times more black people than any Palestinian conflict. In the past year, just this year, 5.76 million Sudanese have been displaced. The Palestinian conflict has displaced, I believe, 1 million or 1 million to 2 million people, but much greater going on in the Sudan. The humanitarian crisis is in the Congo, where little children are digging in mines with harmful chemicals, harmful toxins like cobalt, without hazmat suits. They're picking, like, they're supposed to have hazmat suits so that they're not coming in direct contact with these minerals, but they are children, and the video footage of the mines is crazy. It's a big hole in the ground, and you just see people down there digging for their life. And that's going on in the Congo to put cobalt in your phones and in your electric cars. So the greatest humanitarian crisis is within our community. So if you're a humanitarian, you don't got to look to people that would call you Al Abid and participated in the slave trade before Europeans. But you can voice your opinion against the apartheid of Israel and Palestine, Palestine, and what Israel has done to them. So we can talk about that. It's just not something I'm going to center on my platform. I'm more pro-black than anti-racist or anti-colonialist.
I
And
just wanted
then
I just
I'm
wanted
sorry.
to say real quick. I stand with Sudan, but thank you for what you said about the Congo. I'm gonna go explore that, and I just want to thank you for letting me come up here. I'm sorry it got psychological instead of on the topic, but thank you for letting me speak. I hope you have a good night.
You're good,
I'll
sister.
definitely
You
see you
you don't
live
even have to
again.
apologize. I appreciate you coming up. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
All right. And so yeah, Sudan, if y'all want to look that up, the Congo, if y'all want to look that up, Haiti. Now I gotta mention, because I'm telling y'all what we not going to do, but now I gotta tell you what we could talk about as well. We got Haiti, what's going on down there. The government being overran, and gangs, or what they call in gangs, in the streets. There was a protest where they just unalived people, broad daylight. There's a lot going on in Haiti. I sent a few of y'all the lives of the Haitians, where they doing their chants and protesting down there. So a lot going on in Haiti too. Haiti's history with colonization. If you're anti-colonialist so much that you're pro-Palestine and centering your platform around freeing people that would have called you a slave if you lived there, then you can understand colonialism in Haiti and talk about your own people. Oh yeah, I would want to talk about Kenya and Haiti. African Advice Channel. I would want to talk about that. I'm getting ready to go, y'all. Why y'all bringing people up here? I'm getting ready to go. This is my goodbye. My moderator's bringing y'all up, but I gotta go.
Sorry. All right.
No, you good.
I
You good,
always come
sister.
late to the dang on party. All
Yeah,
right.
you late. You late. It
Yeah.
got messy earlier too. You late, but come back up tomorrow, please. Appreciate you, Lala. But yeah. So what else? I'm just saying this because I do want to start giving y'all awareness on the platform of what's going on with us. I'm not really much of a geopolitical commentator. We could talk about geopolitics, but I'm not the professional for that. My live and my work is mostly geared towards culture and social political identity, things like that, like social political things. Like I could talk about these all day. But geopolitics, not my area of expertise. Black people, definitely my expertise. I love my people, and I know what's going on with us worldwide. If you want to know more, check out the Discord. The link is in my bio. Mr. I Can Tell down there can kiss my ass. I don't give a damn about Palestine other than to liberate my people up out of there that are facing colonialism, but we're not going to censor you and your oppression on this platform. We have much more going on with us. Shout out to African Advice Channel, man. The ones on the continent, the brothers and sisters on the continent know what I'm talking about. Know what I'm talking about because they'll call you a slave if you was over there, but we over here in America fighting a battle for them. We need to fight our battle for us, and then they will be freed, and that's what's going on. You know what I'm saying? If all other groups are oppressed because of the oppression of our community. All other groups are oppressed because of the oppression of our community. If America didn't have raw resources that they're stealing from Africa to feed their military industrial complex, to make weapons that they can send to Israel, to use money and resources built off those resources that they're giving to Israel, then maybe Palestine wouldn't be so oppressed. If we can focus on us as a people, all other people will benefit. That all other oppressed people will benefit. So that's how it starts. It starts and ends with us. Focus on us. And so I'll keep going. I gotta go. Also check out the YouTube. I'm gonna post this video on my YouTube. Anybody want to check out a rerun of today? We got reruns up there. The YouTube button is in my profile, and the Discord link is there as well. B1initiative.org. Appreciate y'all. One love.